Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 308, and Nate's back.
Hi.
In the garage, in person for me, not you. And how you feeling?
Much better than I did last week. This day last week, I was running a 102.4.
Jesus.
I didn't go to work.
Better now, though?
Yes, much better
good.
now.
Good. Well, excellent. And we have recovered from the big Smoking 10 event. Thank goodness. Hopefully we have good signal tonight. I don't know what, I'm running out of internet providers to utilize here. So hopefully this is a good show for you guys. Good feed for you. Nate, we had the Smoking 10 event.
Yeah, just this little tiny thing.
Yes. Went well.
Good. I was in the shop all day. A couple times I, popped down to the tent, walked around, but I wasn't necessarily out there like during the raffle when people were going around getting their sticks. So
right.
I didn't really see how everything kind of played out and flowed and stuff like that. So
no, it was overall good feedback from everyone. So that's excellent. So
well, I'm glad, especially that there was good weather this year. Last year it was about 30 degrees. This year was about 60 degrees. So there weren't a bunch of people, coming into the store to try and warm up. It's like, guys, we're, it's still a retail store and it's a normal day that we're open. Like, you paid for the tent, stay in the tent.
Go use it. No, we lucked out on weather for those who weren't able to come to the 10 event, or you're just tuning in not knowing what it was. The Smoking 10 event is Jesus, those are some loud geese. What the fuck is that?
Thought it was a pack of dogs.
I don't know what was going on outside. They sound angry though. Yeah, so we'll go. Kevin Caldwell Sr. says 10 event was awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Let's do put our sponsors up on the screen so we can kind of look at that. So Tinderbox at Easton is where we both work, and the Smoking 10 event in Columbus, Ohio is a big annual event. We cap it at 250 people, 13 different companies, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of work. Like you and Brian really start planning it like in August.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, started talking about next year today, but
well, for an event of that magnitude. Yeah.
So anyways, great event. Appreciate everyone coming out. Swear I can't have any luck with lighters on this show anymore, but I just filled it. You get for Zycar. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say that on
there. They're not sponsoring.
They're not sponsored. They don't even own themselves anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had the Smoking 10 event, so we appreciate everyone coming out for that. Tinderbox at Easton is also providing, by way of one of our sponsors, also the featured cigar tonight, which is the Te Amo. And this is something we'll get into, but this is interesting blend. We'll talk about that momentarily, but yeah, check that out. Te Amo is back on the market, slightly redesigned.
Very redesigned, I think.
Well, just even the blend slightly redesigned.
Okay.
So very similar but different. So yeah, check that out. Tinderbox at Easton, Columbus, Ohio. Altadis USA, Te Amo. We also have a Henry Clay Warhawk for the second cigar. Altadis USA was at the Smoking 10 event. Maria and Josh were there, and they had some killer swag for the raffle. And it was just fantastic. Plus, one of your favorite cigars was handed out for the featured cigar. It was Monte Cristo 1935, number 2.
That is my favorite.
So, current favorite. Yes, it is. So that was the handout cigar. Thank you to Altadis for that support, along with the support for the show. The BS Cigar Company, everyone that bought raffle tickets got a BS Gold at the 10 event. So hopefully people enjoyed that, and they're available, the gold and the silver. The gold is made by Plasencia, and the silver is made by Espinosa, who was also there, who also was part of the impromptu karaoke / concert.
I did see that video.
After the Q&A, that was unique, and it was kind of the highlight, kind of stole the show when people were talking about everything that's good that happened there. That's the one that everyone's talking about.
Wow.
It was incredible. So, thank you guys for all of that. And then also want to thank you guys on the show here that support us, patreon.com/ Bourbon and BS podcast. We appreciate that continued support. You can get on there, $5, $10, $25 monthly contributions, or if you want to do a one-time Patreon, or Venmo at Bourbon and BS. You guys can kick us a little bit of support there financially if you wanted to help buy a bottle, help support us, do whatever. If you want to get us a makeup artist because you want us to look better, whatever you want to do, just those are the ways to support us. So appreciate that. And I don't have any. I have what I wore last week actually on. But if you guys, I had some people asking me in the tent, buyjack.com/bourbon and BS for any of the BS or the Bourbon and BS podcast swag, such as the blue and white. Got a compliment on that last night. Actually, I was wearing that sweatshirt and a lot of compliments on that. But that is available on the website, buyjack.com/bourbon and BS. And there's also some great 3/4 sleeves. That's going to be great for the spring. The BS ones. There's the Bourbon and BS hoodie, the Bourbon and BS podcast t-shirt. That's going to be available in the unisex. Also, the ladies' deep V's in several colors there. So also the when the world
handed some BS,
light it up.
I actually wore the special edition green podcast shirt Sunday because it was Patty's Day.
It was.
So it was a great day to wear that shirt.
I was going to wear that when I went back up to the tent on Sunday, but I ended up not leaving. I didn't leave it all. So I had the filthy hooligan one on there.
Ah, okay.
But
that works too.
But check that stuff out, and we'll get back into the show here. But we appreciate everyone out there. Share, like, and that's not it. There it is. That's not it. There it is. Please share, like, comment, review. We need a new
so Altadis though was giving away their cigar for coming to the event was the 1935 number 2. It's a $20 stick.
That's correct.
Holy shit.
We were able to make that work, so we were very happy about that. And I want to thank Maria and Josh for all that support. Maria really came through with that in a big way. So
nice. It was nice to meet her.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's an absolute sweetheart. We'd love to have her on the show. So we'll see if we can get her on either in person or remotely, but just absolutely sweetheart. And like I said, really big supporter of not only the show, but obviously the Tinderbox at Easton. Make sure you guys share, like, comment, review, and subscribe on all the formats. Hopefully the whatever wind or whatever is not going to mess with the internet much further, but we'll see. I know we're freezing up a couple times here. So we are going to start. What are we drinking?
We are drinking the Jack Daniel's twice barreled Heritage Rye.
It's a mouthful.
It is. This released in August of 2023. Didn't release in Ohio though until I want to say February.
Okay.
So just last month. No longer available in Ohio. It was like a one shot deal. So they've been doing, Jack Daniel's has been doing some special releases the last few years. Last year, I believe, was one that was it was finished in an Oloroso sherry cask.
Okay.
So this one is, and I love how they give the details on the neck ring. So this was,
yeah, that is a nice touch.
Yeah. So this was originally barreled March 13th, 2015. And then it was put into a second barrel, which was lightly charred, heavily toasted. And we've gone into, the different toast and char levels in the past. But it was put into that second barrel November 18th, 2020. So that means it spent 5 years and 8 months in that original barrel. And then it was bottled July 13th, 2023. So it spent another 2 years and 8 months in that secondary barrel.
Oh, that's a long time.
So overall, you've got a product that has spent more than 8 years in barrels.
Okay.
Which, when a lot of people hear Jack Daniel's, you think the old number 7, the black label.
Yeah, you don't think of this.
This still goes through the charcoal filtering before it goes into that second barrel. So, but yeah, it's a 70% corn mash, 12% malted barley, 18% corn, I believe.
Okay.
So not a 95.5, but definitely substantially rye heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And this one they do at 100 proof. I think some of the other ryes that they do at 90 proof, but this one they did at 100 proof.
So what do you think of it?
I like it.
Yeah,
I do like it.
Not your first time sipping on this. I saw that it was sipped on a bit already.
Yes,
that's good.
I had shared it. I had a pour myself. I shared it with Dan.
Dan, who works at Tinderbox as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to share it with you and Brian on Friday, and then you were talking about getting a bottle, and I was like, hey, let's just do this.
Yeah. No, this is great.
And
when did you secure this?
Oh, this came through work.
But when did you get it?
Oh, I forget the exact day, but it was last month.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I don't
I mean,
know
it was a Friday, so we get our deliveries on Friday. And we had this comes in a 6-pack. We had 2 6-packs of it. And as soon as we opened, we had a handful of guys come in, and this is what they were looking for.
Really?
So my guess is it had been hitting the shelves in Ohio earlier that week.
People knew it was coming.
They figured we were going to have it. And with most of the Jack Daniel's special releases, because they are not listed as allocated by the state, we put them out on Friday when we open, because we get our delivery Friday morning, and we try and have most of that all put away by the time we open. So this is something that we put out on a Friday, not waiting for allocated drop on Saturday.
Limited 1 per, or is this?
Yes, this was a 1 per, which each store basically has their own responsibility to designate that however they want to. Sure. We did it as 1 per, and I'd say there was 7 or 8 guys in that initial rush that came through and all got a bottle. And then after that, I was like, let me go ahead and get one. Someone ring me out for one.
Good call. Good call.
And then, like, we've still been getting asked about it since then. Like, we've still had people come in asking if we have this bottle. It's like, nope, it's all gone. Like, it's one and done.
Yeah. Do we know the overall production? Does it say bottle?
I don't know how many bottles they did.
Limited bottle number HBR Heritage Barrel Rye 27594, but it doesn't say that I see on here.
They don't say how many they actually released.
I don't see it anywhere. Just the dates of everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see it on here. Huh. Interesting.
Notice anything else different, interesting about the front label? At the very bottom of the front label.
700.
It's a 700. It's not a 750.
Is that because it's partially an international release?
This was only available
part of
in
Biden,
the US.
Bidenomics.
This was only available in the US.
So Bidenomics. This is shrinkflation.
Well,
shrink, whatever.
Shrinkflation.
They're calling it.
I don't necessarily want to speculate at that. I know several years ago when Jack Daniel's came out with like the triple mash, the bonded, there was another release that they did. They've started going to 700 mLs on a lot of their new stuff because that's also the standard in Europe.
That's why I thought maybe it was it's an international release.
Yeah. But this was only released in the US, but they stuck with that 700 just because probably so they can get more bottles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we've seen distilleries before put out new products where they've proofed it down instead of leaving it at cask strength. And even though it's cheaper than what it would have been had the bottle been barrel proof, because they're selling more bottles, they still end up making more money.
Yeah, it's like putting less crackers in the Cheez-Its, you know what I mean?
Just sell more boxes.
That's right. That's how they get you. It's the world we live in. Hate to see it hitting the alcohol industry.
Well, not too many. There's not too many domestic brands that have gone to the 700 ml. Most of them still do 750s. I know there's a rum that's available in Ohio that last year changed from 750 to 700. But Jack Daniel's is the only domestic label that I've seen so far in the store that's gone to 700s.
Okay.
They're now the old number 7 that you get on the shelf. That's still a 750.
So what do you call it? It's not a fifth. So what do you call it?
I don't know what they call it in Europe.
What do you call
it? We just call it 700.
Ray Cheshire's out there. Let's see what he's got to say. It's good. It's like I've got the first sip we had when we cheers before the show. Right off the rip, I had some maple syrup.
It's definitely got some nice brown sugar sweetness to it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have that charcoal smokiness that you expect from Jack Daniel's products.
It's got that sweetness though, kind of like right there in the middle of it. It's got, like, in my opinion, more like they said, for me, it's kind of maple syrup with some more like kind of sweeter notes that are coming from that, but also a little bit of the kind of cereal. You know what I mean? It's got that kind of
grain,
like
breadiness.
Yeah, very much so.
See, I get kind of a brown. I get kind of a brown sugar and black cherry to it.
Black cherry, okay.
and then there's just a touch of spice to it.
Yeah,
on the back, yes. And so it's almost like a sweet and spice type thing. But I mean, also, and we talked about this before we went live, like it's going to be kind of hard to see on video, but the color,
especially with the fact that we're blurry right now, thanks to fucking Spectrum now. But I have plenty of signal, so maybe it's StreamYard now.
Even looking through the bottle, though, I mean, the color on this is super rich, super dark.
It's dark for sure.
Yeah, and probably a lot of that has to do with that 8-year plus age on that.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here.
I
know. Appreciate your coughing, kind of not in my general direction. Appreciate that. No, it's good. I appreciate that. You're good. You're better. Be better. Just hold it in. Don't cough. Just kidding.
Work up whatever's right there.
Nice. Maybe the whiskey will help. No, I enjoyed this. This is interesting. You're right. Jack Daniels, I think, sometimes will deter. Just the fact that it says Jack Daniels on there, it will deter people from getting it. Bourbon guys from getting it. They don't necessarily realize the special.
I think the
importance behind this type of a bottle.
From what I've seen on the retail side, they've been getting a lot of traction with some of their rye products.
Mm-hmm.
So like every day on the shelf in this same style bottle, you'll have the single barrel select rye, and single barrel proof select. Like those three you see on the shelf almost all the time. We carry all three of those at Carfagna's. Every now and then we'll get a drop of the single barrel proof select rye.
Okay.
And that's one that people definitely wait in line and hunt for. So this is just another one of those ryes that, that kind of falls in line with that.
Sure.
It's not too often though you have a Jack Daniel's product that people are waiting in line for. And I've seen online this bottle anywhere from $150 to $400.
And what is the retail here in Ohio?
$74.99.
Okay. Wow. So it does have a secondary market.
Mm-hmm. Because it was such a limited release.
Probably.
Like even I shared this with Phil Davis Saturday after the event was over. Him and Jake were still hanging, and I poured just a little bit in a cup because I knew he was 5 sheets to the wind already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he ended up really liking that, and Jake even made a comment. He's like, "Dude, that's like $100-some bottle." I was like, $75. He goes, "Well, yeah, if you get it retail, like, which is what I do."
Which, I mean, not to dive down that, but that's part of it. It's tough having secondary market for this stuff because that's why people snatch it up.
Mm-hmm.
And to those people, stop it. Enough. Go to work.
Wag of the finger.
Go to work. It's ridiculous. I go back to,
even my boss bought one of these. My boss bought one, and a customer walked in, saw my boss buying one. He's like, and the customer made a snide comment. He's like, "Oh, you're allowed to buy while you're on the clock?" And my boss is like, I'm on call 24/7. And the guy's like, well, maybe I should call OHLQ. And my boss is like, how about I call OHLQ on you for selling bottles out of state?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
That guy shut up real fucking quick.
Yeah. I wish they'd crack down. Anyways, that's enough. Enough on that. I don't want to go too far down that. Sorry about the static on the video. I don't know if it's better or worse that you can or cannot see us clearly, but I don't know what's going on, and I can't unfortunately stop and reset this. So unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with, and hopefully it'll clear up here. Probably won't. That's how StreamYard used to work in the past, so they're probably having their own problems here. But again, yeah, I know, Ryan, it's a little fuzzy. I got it. I'm just talking about that. Yes, thank you very much. I wish we could fix it, but that's because technology, when it doesn't work, it sucks, which is great. Do you see they're going away from the self-checkouts at a lot of the stores?
Shocker there.
Yeah, weird.
Or there are some stores that they're going to have like a membership fee if you want to use self-checkout.
Yeah. Yep. That's on top of every store has a membership already. You know what I mean? Like you have a card or like you punch in your phone number so you can. And in fact, like
the two I saw were Walmart and Target. Right,
but there's going to be some grocery chains that are going to follow suit. Yeah. And Giant Eagle, I know Giant Eagle grocery stores around us. I mean, you already have to have a membership to use it.
The self-checkout?
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and go, oh, I don't have a membership.
No, I tried it. Pissed me off. I'm like, I don't want another membership.
Yeah.
I don't need it. Just give me the best price. I don't need a Kroger Plus card. I don't need to. If you're a member, you get, buy one, get one free. How about you just give me one? Like that's you don't need all of that. I don't need more points. I understand sometimes it helps, but it's annoying. Side note. Te Amo.
Te Amo.
Te Amo was a cigar that was released by Altadis USA years ago. It made a big impact. It is not only made in Mexico, but it has 100% Mexican tobacco in there, which is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
This was before the big San Andres wrapper craze that we've seen in recent years. This is something where now, like I said, the Mexican tobacco is being utilized in a lot of different cigars, but it's not going to necessarily be like this, where it's just all Mexican tobacco. This is unique. So first of all, it looks a lot different than it used to. Mm-hmm. We used to have the bull on there and everything. Te Amo. So like the Toro was actually one originally kind of used with the Te Amo cigar, that size Toro. But it's very unique here because this is made by the Turrent family. If you've heard of Turrent cigars, they used to. I was looking this up. It's interesting because although we're using a lot of Mexican tobacco these days, this back in like '97, more than 26 million cigars were rolled in Mexico and imported into the United States. Today, with Turrent being, I think, the main one, it's fewer than 100,000 cigars a year now shipped to the United States.
Wow.
So tremendous drop off in the Mexican crafted cigars, but the tobacco is being used, I think, more now than ever. So that could also be part of it, right?
I think Mexico is also the second largest for Cuban counterfeits.
That could be.
Behind Cuba.
That makes sense. So that makes sense. But this is something that Rafael Nodal had they wanted to kind of bring back. They're revamping some of these. We've got the Henry Clay Warhawk for the second part. Henry Clay has been kind of revamped as a brand. They've done a lot of work over at Altadis USA to try to bring back some of the more iconic brands that they've had before. And that's just where we let's see here.
Justin Turner.
Much better on YouTube than Facebook. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's showing weak signal on our end. So maybe it's just streaming on both of these feeds. So I'm not quite sure, but I appreciate that, Justin. And Shannon Chapman out there, you say, didn't get a notification. Yeah, it's Facebook for you. They don't really like tobacco or alcohol, I think, anymore. So once again, the world we live in, hopefully that'll change here. But yeah, so this was something that they wanted to kind of bring back. This is unique because it's not necessarily a San Andreas Mexican wrapper like they talk about. This is a Habano wrapper grown in Mexico.
Okay.
Is what's on this blend. So it's not quite the same blend as it was before, but it is something that it's interesting. Like I said, that they definitely try to dress it up. You've got some gold on there. You've got brighter colors. Nate, I don't know if you've seen the box. They have the box here.
I have not.
But much of the same kind of branding there.
Okay, so the same design on the box is what's on the band.
Very bright, the green,
that
the
grassy
yellow.
rolling meadow.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is just something new. Something new. So this is, the Habano seed grown in Mexico in the valley. So this is what we're smoking. This is brand new.
It doesn't, you tell me that it's got a Habano
seed.
Habano seed. Yeah. It doesn't have the nuttiness that I get from Ecuadorian Habano.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different flavor profile. And I don't know about yours, but like on mine, the way they rolled that wrapper on there, you can kind of see where they stretched that tobacco and, kind of wrinkled it a little bit.
I don't have that on mine. Mine's it's not the smoothest wrapper leaf. It's got a little bit of that rustic, a lot of veins on the leaf.
Yeah. But I'm like, so like right there, you can see how they kind of
I can see that on yours. Yeah.
But I mean, it's drawing fine. It's burning fine. I haven't had any issues with that. Definitely, I would say so far I'm very one-dimensional type of smoke. It's not a very complex smoke on it. Medium body. Also not medium in the body. I'd also say medium in the flavor intensity. You got a little tunnel going on.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got real
For
airy.
once, it's not me.
Right.
Oh, hallelujah. What is because I haven't seen Te Amo retail in about a decade. The first store I worked in, we had Te Amo with the old band with the bull and stuff that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Was never a big mover, but I do remember it was kind of that bargain price point.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely had some smokers gravitating towards that for that reason. But 10 years later, what's this running?
So this is they talked about that, right? So originally it was like that blue collar, as they called it, budget price point. Not the case anymore. It is, it's not expensive necessarily, but it's in the average price point now. So you're looking at like $9.50 to $12.
Okay.
So it's in that average price point. Now that is before any state tobacco taxes or anything else, but that is going to be where your MSRPs are there. So this one being the Toro 6x52, the suggested retail price is right at that like $10.20, $10.25.
So in Ohio with tobacco tax, you're looking at about $11, probably.
Yeah, 11.50.
Okay.
11.25. Yeah, somewhere around there.
No, no.
What?
I think that might be a little high for what you're getting.
So besides mine, it's starting to smoke through. Construction-wise, for me, it's a nicely constructed cigar.
Okay. Do they give any other information about the tobacco in it? Okay, it's a Habano seed grown in.
It's all Mexican.
Yeah, so that's it.
That's all I got on that.
You don't know what other type of seed strains or anything?
I don't.
That's fine.
Which is pretty typical.
We can only work with what we know.
Yeah, it's pretty typical. Let's see if Altadis has it on their website here. Yes, I'm over 21. No. Got nothing. It does say that the binder is Negro San Andreas, and then the filler is Habano San Andreas. So, not sure.
So just a lot of Mexican-grown Habano tobacco.
It's just, it's all Mexican, which is why I think this is such a unique cigar. Now, what I will say is we talked about it on the show before, where with this, when we talk about like the San Andreas wrapper, when they first were like coming out on the scene, it would kind of give you that drier
that cotton mouth kind of.
That's what I'm getting from this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is for those that like the more classic Mexican San Andreas wrapped cigars through the 2000s, 2010s almost, or the early around 2010. I think we saw a big shift from that. But I mean, this is reminiscent of that, and for better or worse, it's where we're at with this cigar. I agree with you. It's one dimensional. It's unique.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get the spice that I typically get with Nicaraguan cigars. I don't get the creaminess that I get with a lot of Dominican cigars. Like when I was first getting into this cigar, when we were talking about the whiskey, and then you mention like, yeah, it's 100% Mexican grown. I was like, yeah, that tracks, like, because it doesn't really taste like what I'm used to with, Nicaraguan, Dominican, Honduran.
Right.
Like it doesn't have that richness that I kind of expect with some of those other cigars. It doesn't have the spice that I expect from Nicaragua and stuff like that. So it's very different. That's why I think it stands out.
Yeah.
Is because it doesn't smoke like anything that I'm used to.
Well, it's yeah, like I said, it's just not quite,
Mm-hmm.
I think, where we were at before. Sorry, I'm trying to see if we can clear this up, but I don't think it can. I think it truly is something with the StreamYard thing here. Trying to click on it, make it better. I made it worse. Looking at my screen here.
Like, oh my gosh, what happened?
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's
You want to change the banner?
Yeah, I'm more worried about trying to get this thing to look good here, but we're not going to look any better. There's nothing new there. Maybe a couple more sips of this. No, I think this. I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite. I hate to say it, but with it being, they're not all going to be winners, I guess, and especially on the palate. But yeah, this one, the Te Amo, I'm interested to see what kind of feedback this cigar gets as it kind of hits more and more shelves. I get what they're doing. I get what they're trying to, kind of not necessarily recreate, but just reintroduce to the market. Because I'm sure like they did have quite a few, but not, to your point, with it being not expensive, but more expensive than the last time the Te Amo was on there. It's it's just going to be something that you like that. Charlie Creekmore.
I think this would do better if it was in that blue collar, like that 8 to 10 price point. Because when someone says a blue collar cigar, like one of the brands that jumps out in my mind because of some of the blends and price points is something like Punch. A lot of the Punch cigars were kind of in that.
I think
General's that 8 to
done
10.
a great job with keeping those down there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you look at some of the Altadis brands, I mean, within the last year we had some hikes coming from them. So like, Monte Cristo's obviously one of their tops. Romeo's now creeped up. Butera, I think's always been kind of that, 10 to 13.
Yeah, I mean, that's the average price point, though. I think, Punch has kind of been the one that's a great example of trying to keep it in that blue collar, and that's intentional by General Cigars.
The only other thing I can think, I mean, but even some of the Upmans, the Upmans now are 13, 14. The Day Traders, like 15, 16 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
The 175th was an $18 cigar. Now they're getting ready to come out with the 180th. Which I'm actually kind of looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I hope it's something similar.
If it's anywhere near what the 175 was, yay. So when I think of some of the Altadis brands, but then trying to think of what they have, that sub $10 price point, like the only thing that really comes to my mind is Onyx.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's going back. I mean, it's climbing too, and then now you got the Onyx
Bold.
Well, Bold vintage.
Vintage, yeah.
Those are being made by AJ Fernandez, and those aren't $8. They're getting up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just where we're kind of at. honestly.
Yeah.
Try to see what YouTube's looking.
$10 doesn't buy you the same cigar it used to.
Right.
Have you seen?
It's a little bit better on YouTube.
You work.
No, it's not.
You work in the store more than I do. And my store is kind of an anomaly. Have you seen a shift in cigar smoker preferences? Like, are they like the ones that were buying certain brands? Have they stuck with those brands even after, over the years, over the last 5 or so years where prices have gone up, or have they stayed more the same price point and just discovered other brands?
It's a great question. I think this last year or so, we saw or I saw, from at least what I saw, some of the biggest increases across the board over the last 2 years. You had, obviously, it reflects on some of the things you were hearing, post COVID shutdown, where the containers were they skyrocketed. All these cigars are coming over in the water, right? So the containers went way up in price. So you had that problem. You had things like you couldn't secure, if you didn't make your own boxes, you didn't have your own clasps, you didn't have all these things for the bands and everything else. You have seen things go up. Well, we saw that go up big time. And what I've seen, at least in our customer base, is that initially they started looking for something a couple bucks, basically what their cigars they were smoking, like say Monte Cristos, they bumped up quite a bit. And so then the problem is that they bumped up. Some of the customers were like, oh, okay. They switched to Romeos. They've now gone back to what they can't stay away from what they were smoking.
Okay.
Most of what I've seen. There have been a few that will go from, say, a Monte Cristo to a Romeo, because it is just a step down in most of their regular blends. But I've found that most people will go back to what they were smoking.
Okay.
I think that's just something that especially with this being a luxury item, this is something that people enjoy. I've found that most people are maybe adjusting the best they can, but I mean, that's just, I think, unfortunately, you have to tighten things up. I think more than anything, people are just adjusting to things have gone up in price overall. I mean, that's just in this country, worldwide, but I mean, in this country especially, we're seeing that where just fucking everything's up.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to see much of anything going back down, unfortunately. You just hope that it would slow a little bit, not to speak like our president, inflation's down, even though it's, things are still going through inflation. It's just not as bad, right?
Yeah.
That's what you look for, I guess, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
But we'll see. I mean, you kind of think that, I mean, you talk to people that have been smoking, since, say, like 97, 2000, stuff like that. And they're like, man, I used to be able to get a short story for like, whatever it was, like $3, and now it's $9.50 or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's just, it's how it goes.
That's how time works.
Shit's going to keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're seeing. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I remember with some of the price hikes that we've seen over the last year, it was crazy. There were a couple cigars in particular that stuck out to me. I'm not going to say what, but so like the humidor that I run at Carfagna's, I go direct with a couple brands, but then everything else I get through a distributor. And so my cost is a little bit higher than if I was going direct, but most companies aren't going to go direct with me if I'm carrying 2 facings. No. Just not worth it. So my cost,
a lot of smaller.
Yeah. So my cost has been a little bit higher. So like there were a couple cigars from the same brand that I think I was $1 more than the tinderbox at Easton at.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the last year, that particular brand had a price hike. And I still have inventory that I had bought before that price hike from my distributor.
Yeah.
I'm $1 less. I kept the exact same price, but I was $1 less than tinderbox. And I sit there and I think, oh my gosh, like that's something that you guys especially have to deal with more so than what I see because of the volume of cigars that Brian has to carry and sell in order to keep the lights on. Like,
yeah, I mean that's how you look at it. I mean, you try to do things like the MSRP is always like usually a keystone markup. You buy it. I mean, people don't always reflect on this, right? So they're like, oh well, you could like give me a deal. It's like you're already getting a lot of times in stores, retailers, and even online. Like you buy a box, it's like a tinderbox, it's 10% off.
Yeah,
but you don't inflate your single sticks. You basically just you take that hit. You want to go volume, so you take that hit on that. We do military and first responders. We do that. You get 10% off. You have locker members, they get a discount, and even sometimes, with some regulars, as you will, people that come in a lot, they get a percentage off. So every time you're doing that, right, you're giving, you buy 9 cigars, you're getting 1 free, basically. That's, you got to watch those margins.
Yeah.
You can't just keep chipping away.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's something that I think about, even, the small humidor that I manage at Carfagna's, and, the store makes its money elsewhere. That humidor is, I equate that humidor to the pack of gum or the pack of Skittles at the checkout line.
Now,
like, it's more of an impulse buy kind of thing. People aren't necessarily going there for cigars. And like, I could sit there, and if I really wanted to be aggressive and just, fly through cigars, I could sit there and charge less. But it's like, that just, like, no, it kind of, in my mind, kind of devalues the product doing that.
It devalues the product. Some manufacturers won't allow you to go. There's contracts, so like you can't go below a certain amount. You'll get in trouble. You won't be able to sell that shit. I mean, like, people are like, well, why don't you just sell it for cheaper and just blow through a lot of stuff? It's like, it's not just you that don't want to do. You don't want to devalue something. Like the manufacturer doesn't want their $10 cigar MSRP to be selling for $6 at one store, because then everyone's going to start doing that, and it just makes it, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Everyone that, feels, I feel like when they get started, or they really have that simple thinking on some, hey, how do we increase sales? Oh, we make it cheaper so we can sell more. Or the worst is, we'll just raise the prices so that, our margin's better. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work that simply. So,
well, there's a lot of things that one way or the other, they look better on paper than they do in practice.
Yeah. Oh, shit. It's a lot of things in life. Do one more pour of this. I'm trying to think if, from a technical standpoint, sorry guys, you're gonna have to listen to us. If we leave the studio, does the stream stay live? Have we ever done that, where like remotely people are still on and we just leave the studio on our end and the stream stays live? You know what I mean? Instead of ending the stream, we leave the studio.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because this isn't going to get better. I don't know what's going on with our connection with StreamYard. I did a test on the signal, and it's fine. Yeah. So this is something going on here. So I don't know if it's our connection with the studio here. I don't know. So I might try that as soon as we round up part 1, and maybe we'll have to start another stream. Yeah, this is not. We'll talk about this in the rating, but yes, I still have a tunnel. All right, this is where we round out part 1.
All right, let's go.
So, rounding out part 1. Sorry, it's starting to get a little colder. You're right, it is dropping out there, isn't it? We rate the whiskey, the cigar, and the pairing. 10 is the best, so we will see what we think about this. But yeah, you rate the whiskey, you rate the cigar, and you rate the pairing. So once again, the whiskey is going to be the Jack Daniels. I'll put it up on the screen here. Jack Daniels twice barreled heritage rye that Nate was very gracious to bring in the garage. So we'll leave that where it's at. We'll crack. I got a bottle of Heaven Hill out here that we'll just the bottle and bond if you want to switch over.
We can go at least.
All right.
We can go at least one more pour.
We'll do another pour. All right. I'll twist my arm. And the featured cigar is going to be the Te Amo, the re-release of the Te Amo. And so, Nate, I'll start with you here. The ratings for you.
So on the whiskey,
nice.
I'm going to give
real
the
nice,
whiskey 8.5.
Look at that.
Oh,
It's just
Shannon,
mean. It's just
man.
mean. You think that someone moves away and he's going to miss you, and then you say something like that, Shannon. Thanks.
I give the whiskey an 8.5. I do like this bottle. I think it's got a great flavor profile to it. You know, some sweetness, a little bit of spice with the proof and the 70% rye mash. I love the color. I think it comes across very rich. The thing that really surprises me is with that toasted barrel and it being in there in that secondary barrel for over 2.5 years, there's not this abundance of vanilla, which I kind of get with a lot of double barrels.
Yeah.
But then again, that's also, you know, a lot of double barrel bourbons that will have that. So this one, just kind of that brown sugar and cherry note that I get, which is also typical of a lot of Brown Forman products, which is what this is. But no, I think even at $75, this is a bottle that if you see it, you should get it. Like, this is definitely something that is worth trying, worth picking up a bottle of. I'm not much of a Jack Daniels fan, but this is one of, if not the best Jack Daniels product I've had in a long time.
What was the number you gave this? A 9?
8.5.
8.5. Okay.
The cigar, the Te Amo, what is it? Te Amo.
That's it. Te Amo.
That's it. They just have one blend.
Te Amo.
Okay.
Te Amo.
This is
Te
it.
Amo.
I'll give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Very one-dimensional, not a lot going on in terms of flavor. It's got a real dryness to it, which Steve, you talked about. That used to be kind of the hallmark note of San Andreas tobacco years ago. I think in recent years, companies that have utilized San Andreas Maduros or San Andreas wrappers on their cigars has really highlighted like what that region can do with tobacco.
Yeah.
So they've been exporting that leaf quite a bit to other countries that manufacture cigars. This one being 100% Mexican tobacco, it just, it doesn't even have the flavor profile of some of those other San Andreas wrap cigars that I get. Like it doesn't taste anything like that. It just kind of, it's there. It's a cigar to be a cigar, and there's not a whole lot that stands out about it. Mine's been drawn fine. You've had some issues with yours.
I'm still having issues with mine, which I know. I mean, I'm glad yours is. I mean, that at least says something.
Yeah. But I think this is a cigar that would do better at the $8 price point, not $10 to $12.
Yeah. How about the pairing?
Pairing, I give the pairing a 7. I don't think the cigar helps the whiskey whatsoever. If anything, the cigar the whiskey kind of masks and adds more to the cigar. Like I think the whiskey's better on its own. It helps the cigar. If you go whiskey and then cigar, I think that kind of helps because then as you take a draw of the cigar, you're still tasting some of the whiskey. So there's some of that there that you're still tasting, and it kind of re-highlights some of those flavors. But I mean, the cigar's kind of meant by itself, and it's still that even with the whiskey.
Yeah.
Like the whiskey's doing everything it can. It's just, this isn't the cigar to go with this whiskey.
Right. No, I would agree with you. So for me, the whiskey, I get what you're saying. This is unique. I mean, you said it's like 70% corn.
No, it's 70% rye.
70% rye.
18% corn, 12% malted barley.
That makes more sense.
It is a rye, so it has to be at least 51% rye.
I know, but sometimes they'll use rye, you know what I mean? Like Heritage Barrel, or what is Heritage Barrel Rye or Heritage Rye Barrel?
Heritage Rye.
But I know, but what
Jack
it says
Daniel's
on here,
twice barreled
Heritage Barrel Rye is what it says actually on here, but it says Tennessee Rye. I mean, sometimes some of these distilleries are using, like, they'll use rye, even though it's a high rye content or whatever.
like a high rye bourbon.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So that's why I thought you said 70% corn. That's
No, it's
anyways,
no, it's 70
makes
70%.
more sense.
But like, it doesn't hit you with that rye spice that we get like on some of the 95.5.
No, it's sweeter.
Yeah,
it's sweeter. Yeah, as we've had some more of it, it might be the cigar as well. That, I mean, the first couple sips were definitely like the pre-show cheers had more. It was a lot more subtle. I think my mouth is getting a little dry from the cigar, so I'll give it an 8. I think it is a nice bottle. I'm a Jack Daniel's fan. Sorry, it's going right in my face. No, it's all right. I said it's all right. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing the bottle. I think this is a good bottle. It's just not like outstanding for me. I mean, it's just, I'll give it an 8 because of the uniqueness of it. But again, we doing this with a cigar, I can't really speak to how, on the second glass now where we're at with, if we were just being completely objective on the bottle itself, right? So this is, I think, and I'll get to that. The cigar, I'm going to give the cigar I'm right with you, like 6.5, 7. Not a huge fan of, and I'll say it with this, is that I've had some of the Torrent cigars that they make. I'm not a huge fan of what comes out of there.
Same,
personally. So I'm having construction issues. I'm happy to hear that you are not having construction issues, because this I would be very hesitant if this was my smoking experience the first time I tried this, and I'm having this huge tunnel. I mean, it's all the way through the cigar. So I don't know what the deal is there with that, but it happens on handmade products. So I'm happy to hear that you're doing that. The pairing, I think with the lower rating on the cigar, I think it's taken away from the whiskey. So the pairing, I'm not even gonna rate the pairing. It's not going.
It's not
well.
fair to the whiskey.
It's not going well, honestly. And that's, I mean, I normally would. I don't know. It's just, yeah. I'll rate it. I'll give the pairing, I'll give it like a 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah. This, unfortunately, maybe the cigar would go better with something else. This is a unique bottle. So, I don't know if it's the easiest bottle to pair with a cigar.
I think this cigar would do well with, or it would do better with something lower proof. I think it would do better with a bourbon, not a rye. I think this would do better with something like in that 80 to 90 proof, like say Old Forester 86, or the one
could be
the one slightly higher proof. I think might do okay with this is the Ezra Brooks 99, because that's got that really nice butterscotch note to it.
Yeah, maybe.
So that might help with this, but
yeah, maybe.
No, I would definitely do something lighter. But then again, maybe you just go balls to the wall, like 120. So that way you can't taste the cigar at all.
No, I'm not. No, I wouldn't go that far. I think it's, I mean, again, I smoking the cigar initially, it's just not, yeah. That's my ratings. So yeah. I want to thank you guys. Put this up here again. Thank you for our sponsors: Tinderbox at Easton, Altadis USA, BS Cigar Company. Appreciate all that, and once again, I appreciate Altadis USA and also all the other manufacturers for the big support and being at the Smoking 10 event. And a special thanks to all the reps that came out. Special thanks to Eric Espinosa, Rocky Patel, Tom Lazuka, and Ricky Rodriguez for coming out. Of pretty much, they all asked too when they could be on the show again. So hopefully we'll line up some guests as soon as they're out in the PCA, the Premium Cigar Association trade show, which is a huge one for our industry and cigar side of things. But yeah, wishing them all luck. Ricky did finally release some more information about the new cigar that he's been teasing. I don't know if you saw that, the Circle of Life, making that at the EPC factory. So looking forward to trying that. So.
And cheers to the staff and all the volunteers.
Absolutely.
that we had Saturday for that event. That
Absolutely.
Man, gosh, does that help having so many people help out and volunteer?
Couldn't do it. I mean, we
Former
had,
employees and girlfriends and
I mean, again, I mean, it ran very, very smooth this year, just because, and we'll talk about that maybe with the March's Madness coming up here. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone and all the customers that came out and bought. Once again, we sold it out, so we appreciate that. So, guys, thank you very much, and bear with us. Might try something. If you do lose us, if you're listening live right now, if you lose the feed, we may try to start something else for part 2, because this connection is not getting any better, unfortunately. I'm glad you can hear us, but the picture's going in and out. So thank you very much. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Nate, welcome back to the garage. Glad you are feeling better.
thank you.
Cheers, all. All right, what do you think?
And who says we play favorites when it comes to ratings? Like, this is a cigar coming from our sponsor, and we tore it up.
I mean, just being objective the best we can. I mean, it's subjective, really, but trying to be as objective as possible.
Yeah.
So what do you think? If we leave the studio, think it'll just shut it down, end the stream?
I don't think we should end the stream.
I'm saying, but if we leave the studio, do you think this will stay live, like, you know, on the feed? If we leave the studios down here, end the streams up here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can end the stream and stay in the studio.
I don't know.
I don't know if you can leave the studio
If you're the host.
Well,
wait, what have there been some times where we've done the hangouts, like what we did a couple weeks ago when we had multiple people on? Was there ever a time that you left the studio?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I mean, this is just staying blurry the whole time and chopping.
I know, it's weird.
I mean, this up here is just staying.
I know. Yeah.
At that bottom point, I ran my speed test and it's fine.
Yeah. Your speed's fine. And yeah. What do you guys think we should do? Let's poll the audience.
Let's do this. Keep that live, but so we're still live here. See what thanks for staying with us as we experience our technical difficulties. Chrome also doesn't run as fast as the native, like Safari. How is everyone out there tonight? This is the true test. Is that you? See, this is what I'm saying. See right there?
That's, the upload?
Yeah, but that's not terrible.
Yeah, the uploads.
All right. Well, no good. What do you think?
Let's see. If someone said there's no reason for it to end if you leave.
Well, I agree. I wish we could, I wish I could keep the stream going. That's what I'm saying. And leave the studio and come back. You know what I mean? Like, if you could keep it going, I don't know if it'll just stay going. Take a poll.
Well, it got a little better. We got one extra bar. Oh, wait. I think we're good now. Well, no, there's no longer the bars up top.
Because I'm off the screen. Is that what we're dealing with?
It looks way better suddenly.
Fucking kidding me right now.
I'm not kidding.
No, I'm taking it personal.
Yeah, we also had a comment. It's not blurry anymore. Looks better.
Oh my god! Now I sat down, so I'll probably go to shit. That's just what?
See, this is what's great about having a live audience.
Is it
Instant feedback.
same people that said we never looked better when it was blurry?
Oh, well.
Shannon.
Well, and then Lou McGinnis said, your voices are coming through just fine.
Appreciate that, guys. I am pouring this Heaven Hill because, not to say I'd love to have another sip of that, I want to see if it's the pairing with
Okay.
this cigar.
That's fair. I'll finish mine. And
yeah, let me know.
And aren't you glad that that bottle's no longer allocated and hard to find?
Yes. However, I don't know if he's listening tonight, but it's funny. In the state of Ohio, that's still $49, right?
$49.99.
Guess how much it is at Heaven Hill?
How much?
$59.
$59? Oh, for all you who want to bitch about Ohio prices, ta-da!
Which this was a gift, and I was sent a message from someone that was at Heaven Hill and was like, I know you like this, so I bought you a bottle if you want to just reimburse me. So it's the thought that counts, and we're going to enjoy it.
You should have sent them the 50. You should have sent them $50 instead of 60.
No, God, no.
No, yeah,
I would never
like,
do that.
well, here's how much it is in my state.
I'm just going to give him shit when I see him.
I can pick it off the shelf anytime I want.
No, it's great.
That and Sazerac Rye and some of the Willet products. So if you ever need Noah's Mill, Rowan's Creek, the 4-year rye, Sazerac, Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, just let me know, Steve. Just let me know.
If we get to a point where Eagle Rare is readily available, I know that we've won.
I was watching a video before we went live where someone was pouring that as part of a cocktail suggestion to them. And they're like, yeah, just, take a mediocre, not that great whiskey. And it was Eagle Rare. I'm like, oh, don't let Steve see that.
I will say that I feel like we on this show, we can be a little harsh at times. I think that some of the people you follow on like TikTok or whatever, like on Instagram or whatever it is.
I don't follow any of them. They just pop up constantly.
And you send them to me, and it's like they just immediately come out. We're like, oh, we're going to rate the top, whatever. And they pull it out and like, fuck this, like, just kidding. And I'm like, all right, I get it. You've been doing this and blah, blah. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, Buffalo Trace sucks. I don't know what. It's like, just calm down, all right? Eagle Rare, yeah, like a basic whiskey. It's like, it is a $40 bottle, so it's nothing crazy, like, but it's just good.
I think
it doesn't have to be expensive.
I think it's a great bottle.
To be good.
I think it's a great, even at $41, like, it's still a great bottle. I mean, I'm gonna guess right now, Steve, Eagle Rare at 41, Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond at 50. You're probably taking Eagle Rare.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I'd like to be able to like have both on my bar. You know what I mean? Which I do currently, but I cracked a bottle of Eagle Rare on Saturday morning to head a little with Josh and Brian, since we were the first ones there, and we were there early and setting it all up. We got inside the tent, and I was like, let's crack this. You know what I mean? Because I had 2 bottles, and now that one's almost gone. But yeah, Heaven Hill.
Yeah, there was someone when you were getting ready to leave and you had your bottles sitting on the table. There was someone in the store that was eyeballing them, and I sat there and yelled at that person. I was like, "Don't you even dare! Don't even ask for a pour. It's not yours. Quit looking at it."
I know who it is because they were like, "What you got there?" As I was saying my goodbyes. I'm like, Eagle Rare, have a good night.
Yeah, because then Josh looked at me and goes, good call. I didn't see that. I was like, oh, I fucking watched it.
All right. Well, now that we have signal here, this is great. I don't know what that was about, but here we are. All right, you ready? Oop.
Ready, willing, and able. And our viewership went up.
Yeah. And they can even see us, which is weird. That's ironic. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 308. And somehow the signal has gotten better for those that are listening live. Sorry you have to see us more clearly now. For those that were enjoying, just, dim your screen. or listen to the audio when we post it. No, I can do that. I guess you can have it playing in the background, maybe, and open another app and, I don't know, do something. Just don't look at it. Look at a slideshow of your last vacation. We're in part 2. This is a little bit, it's beyond the BS. This is going to be where we kind of talk about something else. Obviously, it tends to gravitate back towards whiskey and cigars at times, but tonight Nate had the topic, and so we're going to see what we have tonight. I tweaked it a little bit. I added just right in the middle there.
Uh-huh.
Nate, what's our topic tonight?
March is Madness.
You said March Madness. I feel like if we had it up on the screen, March Madness, someone's going to tune in and like, oh, I don't want to hear about basketball. So made it more of a topic-y thing, like March is Madness. Why is this the topic tonight?
Well, I mean, you had texted me, and it took me a while to think about something about what all going on. And
yeah, I saw you have the red receipts on your phone.
I do.
Were you at work today?
No.
So it's funny, like
today's my day off. But
I thought
you
it
had
was.
texted me before I even got up.
I know, it's just, oh jeez.
I wasn't even out of bed yet. I was
time was
awake,
it?
but I wasn't out of bed.
What time was that?
10:36.
Good Lord, good for you. No, it's like when you have the red receipt on, and so like I see you read it, because I went back to it and I'm like, did I? Yeah, he read it.
Well, yeah.
But I knew you were probably just thinking, or you're busy. It was one of those things. We're not dating, so I can't like
yeah, goddamn right. No, I mean it's one of those things where if you text me asking me for an idea, like I'm not gonna come up with something in the next 5 seconds and have the 3 dots going on your screen and immediately come up with something. It's one of those things where, like, as the day goes on, as I'm doing something, like maybe something will strike, maybe something will come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like you almost got to wait for that creativity to go and kick in.
So you had a glass of whiskey at 10:30.
No, I had breakfast
Okay.
and coffee.
And we're back down on the signal's coming back. Go ahead.
No, I had coffee. That's what I
Okay, that's good. That's creative juices coming from the caffeine. I like it. Okay.
No, I was just thinking, I mean, so let's see what we've gone through this month. We just had our Smoking 10 event.
Yep.
The actual basketball tournament, not counting the play-in shit, starts tomorrow.
I don't get the play-in stuff. I didn't even know about that until.
Oh, that's been going on for years.
I heard like 3 years at least.
Oh, well, it used to just be you had like 2 games that were 16 seeds trying to get in. Mm-hmm. And then they did, all right, well, here's 2 that are 16 seeds, and then here's 2 that are like 12 seeds to get in.
There's already 64 teams.
And now there's 68.
I don't get it. Like there's already a full season before this, and the NIT, which I heard like 9 teams didn't even go to the NIT. Like they were invited and they just were like, no, we're not going.
Wow.
Yeah. 6, 9, something like that.
I know. Well, and that's the other thing about the NIT. When the NIT does theirs, it's 32 teams, but when they do the bracket, it's 1 through 32, I think.
Right.
It's not, you have 4 1 seeds and then your 2 seeds and then yeah.
Sean says it's all about the dollars. I agree, but come on. Like, I mean, I get going from like 4 teams in the college playoff to 12, and now I heard it's going to go to 14.
Jesus wept.
And I'm just like, just let it go.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Like you made it or you didn't.
Yeah. It's everyone who's on the cusp and got cut. It's usually they're the ones who are like, oh no, we deserve to be in. Well, really, you didn't play like it half the season.
No, we had 64 spots. So you were 65.
Yeah.
You're not in. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I get that, like when you have like a big conference and you have a team that's like not, when you have a team going into tournament play, into the conference tournament play, that's not going to make it in, but they end up winning, like that takes a spot away from an at-large bid. because
Sure.
you know the top couple teams in that conference, they're going to be in because of you know who they've played, because their schedule, their record, like they're going to be in. Every time you have one of those Cinderellas in the conference play win the tournament, that's an automatic bid. So yeah, someone's going to get screwed over. But guess what? So what? Like if
life sucks sometimes.
Yeah, if you want to make it in a tournament, you should have played better throughout the season and not wait until you fired your coach, got a new coach, and then went on a 7-1 run.
They almost lost, by the way. Talking about OSU.
Yeah.
They almost lost in the first round against
was it like Marquette or something?
No, it was shit.
Seton Hall or I don't know. I didn't watch the game anyway.
I forget who it was. They were dropping threes all over the place. But anyways, I digress. I just thought that was.
But no, so you know, we had the 10 event earlier this month. We had a time change. Spring just started. You know, weather's starting to break a little bit. People are starting to get out more and do more stuff. And you got Easter coming up at the end of this month, which is weird. It's like usually you think of
next, not this Sunday, but this following.
Yeah. Like it's still in March, the way it falls on the calendar this year.
I like it. I like it early. That's great.
Got
to get going. Let's, you know, get Jesus back up.
But like we're starting to get into that season where it's like, all right, we're gonna have Easter, then we're gonna have Memorial Day, and before you know it, you know, summertime is gonna be here, and it's almost like March is kind of the kickoff from, you know, those winter blues where you're stuck inside and like all of a sudden things start getting busy around this time of year and people start planning vacations for the summer. And, you know, I got a vacation next month, first vacation like since November of 21.
Spring breaks are even starting.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's another thing. Spring break. Yeah.
First day of spring was what, 2 days ago, something like that?
Yeah. Was it the 20th, 21st? Yeah.
Well, today's the 20th, right? So 2 days ago to the 18th.
Yeah.
21st is tomorrow. I don't know. So yeah, okay. March, yeah, it's starting to get crazy. The end of the first quarter. You know, that was one nice thing about us doing the Smoking 10 event was obviously it pushes in the Midwest where sales on a lot of industries, including the cigar industries, are lower. I mean, you're not.
You have that high of
not
December.
Great.
December's a high because of Christmas shopping and stuff like that. I mean,
New Year's.
December's one of the best months in the cigar industry, even in the Midwest.
Retail in general, yeah, for
just
sure.
Retail. But then, oh my gosh, January and February, aren't those just a jump off the cliff in terms of numbers?
I like January in Midwest. I mean, it's not that bad. It's winter. You know what I mean? Let it be winter a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the February dragging in. Like right now, you know, we had luckily on Saturday for the Big Ten event, it was 60 degrees and it was fantastic weather.
Yeah.
And now it's currently,
what is it, like 36?
It's 35 degrees. It's going to drop to 28. You know, the high tomorrow is 42, then 60, then 50, then 60, then 50, then 60. I mean, it's like my hands are cracking again.
Yeah. Seasonal allergies are right around the corner.
Well, everyone's getting sick, and then like I don't know if it's allergies. I don't know if it's I'm getting sick. I don't know what it is.
Last week, I mean, I was sick for 5 days, and you know, then had the 10 event, and that was the day I was 9:30 to 9:30 for me, which wasn't as long as like you, Josh,
no, it's a team effort. I mean, honestly, it was crazy.
But like, you know,
long weekend.
I explained to people like
I was back at Fido at 8:15 a.m. by the way to keep tradition alive, cakes and eggs.
Well, and then someone had posted in our staff chat about, you know, being so sore the night before, the morning of.
Yeah.
And and after a bunch of you guys were,
you're like, I feel great. I'm like, fuck off.
Like, I feel great.
Not that working in stores is easy, but I mean, come on. I walked 10 miles inside the tent.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like there was someone.
I think standing in place is harder.
Yeah, there was someone who actually had started that on the group chat I'm like, hey, I walked 17,000 steps today. Anyone got me beat? And I'm like, fuck off. No one gives a shit. And then you're like, oh, yeah, here's mine because my watch had died. I was 22,000.
It was 23.
Yeah, suck it. It's like that person was like, oh, look how much I did. It's like, fuck off. No one cares.
Everyone worked hard.
No one gave a shit. Someone just wanted to try and flex. And then you sat there and went, nah, flex this. I love that when you came back with that.
Just participating in the conversation.
I know, but I loved it.
Plus,
so
I carried
much.
a lot of the tables.
Shut that person up.
No.
Thankful.
Eric's great. No, the spring with the back and forth, March getting crazy and everything like that. What I always joke about is, it's almost like when you get excited about spring coming and the warmer weather, you have the little stint of like the warm, you get excited, you get happy, you get out of that seasonal depression, the fall spring. It's like you think you did great on a paper, right? You know what I mean? Like, or you're getting a review and you're getting that kind of like shit sandwich. You know what I mean? Like, or like when a girl like shows you some attention and then completely just ghosts you. It's like you get excited because it's like, everything's not going well. Oh, wait. And then, fuck. It's going, it's not a thing yet. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, like we've really been, I see you've been working on this and, you're getting a lot better. Oh, good. We're going to have to let you go. or, it's like, you got to work on this, I got to write up for you, whatever it is. I mean, it's just this roller coaster and that's where we're at in spring. Mm-hmm. That's where March is getting crazy. I think that it is, it's a time like, even in business, if you're on a calendar year for the fiscal year, you have, you're in the first quarter. So you're rounding out the first quarter. And again, in a lot of industries, it's just going to be a little bit slower. And a lot of the personal life, you do have, if you have families, you have winter sports, you have all that stuff. But once you can get back outside, especially in areas that do get colder in the wintertime, it's now everything's getting kicked off. You're getting prepared for it. I mean, you're going to have to get back out, mow your lawn, do the personal chores and stuff like that outside. If you wash your car, you're going to have to get outside and wash your car. You're going to have to do all these things that I think are good for you. I think it's nice to get outside and be active.
Of course. But
it takes up a lot of time. I mean, it really does. I mean, that's where I think part of that whole seasonal depression thing where, there's that, like you said, at the end of the year, you're getting kind of like it's great, like you got the holidays and the seasons have changed and winter is exciting because it's pretty or whatever it is. If you don't like winter, I can't really speak to that, but it's it's good. And then all of a sudden it's just this like kind of coasting. Oh, it's the new year. And then it's 2 weeks into the new year, and then it's 4 weeks into the new year. Now you're February, which is the shortest month for whatever reason. We had a longer February this year because it's leap year.
Mm-hmm.
And the weather's just dragging on, and the winter's just dragging on, and now we're in March. And it's just, what are we doing? It's March 20th. It's like first day of spring, and it's cold. I don't know, man. Now you brought this up. Now I'm thinking about it more. I was good before this.
Well, I think sometimes in March that can be kind of that month that can start to turn the tide a little bit. I know probably late January, early February, I was dealing with some shit on my own end, and like that kind of had me down for a few weeks. But then it's like as soon as that warm weather starts to hit, like that first glimpse of that 60-degree day or some 65. Like now, granted, there's a big difference between 60 degrees in March and 60 degrees in October.
They're both good,
but yeah, you take them while you can. Like when you go through, I think we got off easy this year for winter. It definitely was not as bad as last year with that negative cold front that came through right before Christmas last year.
Yeah, we just had hail this time or whatever. Tornadoes.
Shit, yeah, we had hail and then tornadoes. Fuck, yeah. That wasn't great.
Krista just texted me, why are you depressed? LOL. I'm not. I said I'm not. It's a show.
I can't go into that on the air.
Me?
No, me.
Oh, I was like, don't get me in more trouble. I'm not depressed. I didn't.
Me.
Oh,
Me.
okay.
That's what I was talking about when I was like, yeah, January dealing with some shit. But when things start to turn the tide with the wet, it's crazy how much that plays into our mental state. Like the warmer weather, and is it because it's warm, or is it because it provides the opportunity to be able to do shit outside? I know even during the last couple of months, there were some days where, like on Wednesdays, my day off, if in the middle of the day it was going to get to 50 and be sunny, screw it. I'll bundle up and go sit outside just because I wanted to sit out in the sun. Because there's something about sitting in the sunlight, even if it's a little chilly, 50 degrees isn't necessarily warm, but
no, it's not.
Sitting out in the sunlight with, the sun basking down on you, like there's still something rejuvenating about that.
100%. It's like Superman, you know what I mean? Get some power from that. Pretty sure.
Yeah, radiation.
In a good way, yeah. Yeah. I will say, though, I think that you may have
rub it in, Shannon.
You may have jumped the gun last week when you were feeling a bit better. And you went out, sat outside, and you smoked a cigar and had a glass of whiskey. And then you said your fever came back. It's like, I think you jumped it.
There were 3 days in a row where one of them being Wednesday, I was supposed to go into work Wednesday because I was off Saturday. So I was supposed to go in, but that's when I had a fever of over 102.
Yeah.
So I was like, yep, not happening.
Not happening.
But there were actually 3 days in a row there where the first 4 to 6 hours of the day, I felt like shit. And then as the day went on, like I would actually start feeling better. And then, I would go to work on Thursday and Friday. I'd go to work and then I'd come home. And as soon as I'd get home, I'd be like, I feel my fever coming back. And sure enough, I was back to like a 101.
Well, and again, I'm not trying. I'm just thinking about this. I think it's kind of funny to talk about, but it's like when I texted Nate and I was like, hey, you like up in your vitamins, you up in your zinc, and you send me a picture of the nutritional value of Pedialyte. I'm like, that's great that you're hydrating, but like that's not like enough. Like it's like you're taking like ibuprofen to like reduce your fever. Are you doing like, and you're just like, I'm just gonna let it run its course, man. I'm like, it's admirable, but like
first couple of days trying to run its course, that way the virus doesn't replicate. Because that's your body's natural defense, is to raise its temperatures. That way your viruses and bacteria can't replicate.
I understand.
If it gets over a certain point, that's where you start taking shit to, drop that fever.
See, when I get a fever, I'm going to pop some ibuprofen. That's what I did with COVID, and I beat it in a day. Remember? Take that. I didn't have any ivermectin on hand, so.
It wasn't COVID. It's because you drank Jim Beam Black.
Which, honestly, not to shout, like I don't want to talk bad about Jim Beam, but that might be part of the cause of COVID. We don't know. I don't think they tested that. We did. Go on. No, I'm just kidding about the sickness thing. No, with March and the spring and everything getting amped up, I think it's a good thing. I'm with Kristen, and I think she was joking why you're depressed. I'm not. I think this is a great time of the year. For me, it's kind of like that was our, like the 10 event was like our Super Bowl. So it was like everything was ramping up. And so like after that, it's like when you have that big test, when you have the big event, it's kind of like, okay, the off season starts now type thing, with the actual like Super Bowl as a metaphor to certain things. It's you take time to rest or celebrate, and I did that with the way the schedule lined up for me, which was Saturday was the event, and then Sunday and Monday I'm off normally, so Sunday was Patty's Day, which I do enjoy Patty's Day. We got a great relationship with Fido Irish Pub next to us. We collab on the event with them. They have their big party, so it's something that I went right into it, and I met up with some friends that were actually at the 10 event, but we've been meeting up for the kegs and eggs for shit for years now. And so I feel like some people will like look at that and they're like, oh, like
I think that's part of keeping that tradition alive.
there's keeping the tradition,
Whatever
but it's also
tradition
I like to do that, so I'm gonna do that. It was a long weekend. By the end of the night, came back here, and that's when the tiredness, the drinking, kind of all came together in not the greatest way. But it's just it was fun, and luckily it was safe, and Monday I had to relax and rejuvenate, and back at it now this week, so it was good. Let's see right here. How about a question to cause you madness?
Sean's good at those.
Oh wow, this is just kind of I'll put it up on the screen. We don't have the round table tonight, but we'll bring up something here. If you could choose but only one, would you rather be divinely beautiful, dazzlingly? I like the adjectives here, right?
Mhm.
Adjectives, adverbs, dazzlingly clever, or angelically good? I think dazzlingly clever. I think that's going to get you farther in life. I think that's going to be more enjoyable, and you'd have a great time.
That's what I was going to pick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too bad we're none of those things.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. I'm not gonna quit. Too bad I'm one. No. Whatever. Sorry. By the way, this cigar does go a little bit better with Heaven Hell.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Well.
There you are, sir. I think you have to look at as the spring comes around. I think it's good to stay on point, stay focused, stay going with the plan. I think the wintertime's a great opportunity to kind of prepare yourself for this. Prepare yourself for when the weather gets warmer, when activities start amping up and ramping up. It's really easy to get overwhelmed, just with simple everyday stuff. Like I said, I do not necessarily enjoy doing outside chores. I don't necessarily enjoy, mostly because I enjoy not having to squeeze in more activities into my day to day. I was talking with a friend today on the phone. We've been playing softball together for years, and he I'm trying to see what this is. I'm trying to, when I was talking to him, sorry, I got sidetracked there. With talking to him, he's gone through in the last couple years, he's gone through a separation, he's gone through a divorce, and we're talking about softball, and I'm like looking even at like things like getting together. We play softball on Thursday nights, and so we were touching base, and I was like, yeah, I mean, not only am I getting older, but I just, it's just the time to like that's another night of the week that I have something going on.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 kids, and he's telling me, he went through a separation, now they're divorced, and they're co-parenting. He has 2 kids that are now in that age where he's saying, his son's got lacrosse 3 nights a week, and then he's going to be coaching his baseball team, and now the daughter is what was she was doing I forget what activity it was. Now she wants to do Girl Scouts, and he was just like, he sees it as a night for him, and I can appreciate that. I like that mentality. I like that attitude, that he was still he's trying to carve out that night for him. And I think it's a lot of times it's about perspective. I think that with him, I'm happy that he called me. He heard a song that I always play at the bar we're sponsored by for softball, and that was David Allen Coe. You never call me by my name. You don't know that song? It starts out, Never mind.
I thought we were going to get Steve singing there.
Maybe a couple more glasses here. No, but it was something where him calling me and talking about that and then catching up because we haven't spoken in a few months just because during the winter we don't like the softball team doesn't really communicate. I sent out a message to the group when it was one of the guys, the coach, the guy gets the team together. It's his birthday. And we were just talking about how his life is about to get even more hectic with the kids and everything else going into these sports, which is March being, March is madness. This is where not only is his life all the time, now he's dealing with co-parenting, he's dealing with, living on his own and trying to keep the family unit as it is now together, which has evolved, obviously. He's looking at it as that he wants to stay active. He wants this night to be somewhat social and keep talking about like the traditions of, things going is that, he even said, he's like, he didn't want me like to stop playing. I'm only a few years older than him, but it's like, he's just like, no, I want you to keep playing. You know what I mean? Like I want you to keep, it's not even playing. So like, it's not a super competitive league. It's somewhat, but it's like, he just wants it to keep going. He wants it to, he wants that night where something is not saying his life's not normal, but he wants that familiarity of who he is, like who he is that has transpired through all of this life changes and everything that he's gone through. And he puts his family first. He puts his kids first. And I think it's about the perspective when things are going well. And sometimes you just look at, even like sometimes I'll look at getting together with the guys on another night. It's another, a night that with my relationship with Kristen and, where I have to we do this on Wednesdays and I work in the store, open and close on Tuesdays. And then it's like now Thursdays come around and it's like, oh, that used to be a night where I would be free during this time of the year. Mm-hmm. And then for several months now it's another night that it's work to the gym or work to softball. And then we have Friday night and then Saturday I'm open to close. And then like Monday, she's got like now with her job, she's got nighttime calls overseas and shit like that. So it's like, I look at it as this is a time commitment that I don't know if I can fulfill. And on top of that, I'm getting older, trying to stay young. But at the same time, playing softball seems like nothing too dramatic for a lot of people, but you still get sore sometimes, especially when I'm still fucking diving for balls in the outfield that 5 years ago, I probably didn't have to dive for as many because I was quicker. I would just get to the ball. I still dove back then, but they were better catches. But now it's just that's something where diving / falling over as I'm catching the balls. But
well, the thing is,
I think it's about perspective. That's where I was getting at with all this March. I think it is. It's where you're at in life, what's important to you, and I think for me, it's you have to really, as I'm getting older, you do things that you feel are providing value to your time spent doing those things. And I have to really look at something as I know you guys are probably thinking that like he's just talking about playing softball, but it's like, is it providing value for the time that I'm doing it, going to the bar and meeting up with the guys, going to play the softball? Like we're not like getting scouted. So I'm not like going to like perform at this elite level. Like it is a social thing for me.
And that's the thing. And that's highly undervalued when it comes to men. Like men need that social interaction with other men. Like that is an important thing for us. We need that time with other men, not just with ourselves or our significant others. Like I can't explain it, but it's something that is important to guys. We need that male bonding time, and you guys can think of that however you want. But like that's something that's important. It's not the same as doing the podcast, you, me, or if we have a guest, if Jake's on here or Sean is on here, like that's not quite the same thing. Like sometimes whether it be Sean or Jake or Tyler or whoever it is, sometimes the conversations that we have before the show or after the show are more meaningful than the ones that we have during the show.
Yeah.
And we need that. And different guys do that a different way. And I think for you, like, softball is that. Like, that's your time to hang out with the guys and do guy stuff. And it's important.
Yeah. Yeah, making the time. I mean, but a lot of people would say that this night for us is that time. You know what I mean? Like, we were getting paid tons of money doing this. Okay, now it's more of a job. Well, this is still something that we do for ourselves, for everyone out there. Love the fact that we've got several, like, a lot of people watching and all that stuff. It's great.
I guarantee you, if it was you, me, and 3 other guys from the shop, no camera, like, the conversations that we have here would be vastly different.
Yeah. Wouldn't be as structured, but a lot of similarities.
But that's
what formed this show, though.
But that's what we need. And sometimes softball is the way to do that, or whatever it is, whether it's go playing pickup games of basketball or pickleball or whatever it is. Like, there's something to be said for that, and it's not about the athletic competition, it's what that competition provides. And it's just that hanging out with other guys and having a beer in the parking lot or going to the bar after the game and hanging out. Like, that's the important part. The game of softball is just the mechanism to get to that point.
Yeah, it's the hobby that brings people together. That's what I didn't get a lot of times with, like I, again, not having kids, so I can't really speak to it. I understand why, like my older brother, talking to Tony, who I was talking to today. I mean, with his kids, I mean, as we're talking, he's raring to go. He's can't wait for. And then he started talking about, I was like, what I am, so with my son doing lacrosse 3 days a week, it's only practice on Thursdays, which is the night we play. And he's saying, it's like, I can, he's at an age now where I don't need to be at every practice. He's like, coaching baseball, the games are on the weekends. I said, what if baseball practice on Thursday? And he's like, I think I can make that work where it's not. And I'm like, I've known a lot of guys as they've gotten older, and the kids have gotten older, that they don't do that, and they do miss it, but it is about priorities. I mean, for his sake, I hope it is, where he can work it out, where he can get that, because obviously, based on that conversation, it's something that's very, it's what I was just saying. That's valuable to his time. It's very valuable to his time that he can actually get out and do something for him, not to take away from him having the family, the kids, you know what I mean? But in his current situation and in life, he'd be fine. He'd be fine, right? He'd be fine if he couldn't have Thursday nights to play softball. He'd be fine that, doesn't have that social interaction in that way. I would hope that he'd find that, but it is about, he's trying to, just like we all are, not only navigate through the seasons changing, but like, it's not to get like down that, not that drunk right now. So I'm not going to get that sentimental, but it is like the seasons of his life are happening around him. And dude, I mean, I've been divorced. I've been through job changes. I don't have kids, but I'm in a great season of my life where now it's looking at where is the value of where I'm spending my time. Is softball as valuable as using my Thursday nights to do something else? I think if I can navigate through the other nights of the week, it can fit in there still. You know what I mean? I think I can. With him, I think that it carries more importance for him based on what season of life he's going through right now. I think, I'm still shocked and very, pleased and honored that people are still tuning in on Wednesday nights after 6 years. People find the time when they can, that they find some sort of a value from this, spending their time on you know, their Facebook page or YouTube or whatever it might be, listening to this, or if they listen after the fact, I can appreciate that. But man, I got to tell you, I think a lot of people, don't necessarily evaluate what's bringing value to their time that they're spending on these things. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think Sean kind of brings it up in his last comment. Like, would you, if you weren't playing softball, but you just went and watched it and then went to the bar with the guys afterwards, would you still enjoy yourself?
You know, a couple years ago, I'd say no, but anymore, I could be a sub. I could be, you know, go up there some of the Thursdays. I guess, Sean, I'm at the point where, no, I do still enjoy doing it. It is, as you get older, you're not just like anything else, right? You're not hitting the ball as well. You're not as fast as you used to be. You're trying to do it. It's more of a, you know, when you're doing well, it's great. But that's softball, that's baseball, a lot of sports, a lot of physical activities. It's you find a way to make it work. Like I had a mentor and a friend of mine, John Gibson, who was at the 10 event actually, and now he's playing the 70 and up league of like senior baseball. And he loves it. But I remember when he was playing in our softball league and he was getting frustrated because every time he was up at bat, like he just could not hit the ball very well, you know, and he would get very frustrated. I'm not quite there yet, but I mean, I think I've got more years of me doing that. But I don't need to be out in the field every inning. I don't need to be, you know what I mean? Like I play left field. It's more of like, if someone's like, well, I'd like to play, like we had more than the 10 guys. I'm like, yeah, go. I'll sit out an inning. I'll sit out. You want to play? Go ahead. You know, I'm already up here. Like we've gone through that. Some people would get all upset that they're not playing as much as other people. I'm like, dude, we like some weeks we can't even field a team of 10. We have to get like 3 subs. This week we happen to have 14 guys up, you know, that could make it. You know, everyone's got lives, so you never want to run a skeleton crew on something like that. So I'm at, yes, I don't want to just go up there and like watch these guys play. I would probably, if I'm not on the team, probably go up and like have some beers with them on some Thursdays. But I think as of now, I mean, that's just, I'm more of just, you want to play? I'll sit in it. Not a big deal. But would I still, if I didn't play, he said, I mean, hanging out with those guys. Absolutely. Those guys are great. That's like a different friend group that I have because of what we've done over the years. And it was like two different teams and different guys. And anymore, like from 5-10 years ago, there's only probably 4 of us that still are like part of that group originally. And now it's just other guys. And it's fun to, now they're the softball guys, you know, it's the hobby. I kind of compare it to, you know, this is like doing the podcast, like with Jake being on last week. That was fun. Like having him back on. It's just the 2 of us doing the show, but it's something like, this is still something I enjoy doing. And now it's Nate and I doing this every week. And I still enjoy like doing it. It's the activity of doing this and having someone doing it along with you that doesn't always have to be the exact same as it always was. Because sometimes when you do that, if someone leaves or gets, you know, moves away or whatever it might be, it's like, oh, then it's like, well, I don't do that anymore because people I used to do it with, you know, they're not around anymore. You can still do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the important thing is,
yeah.
I mean, you know, life happens, you know, different people go down different paths and, you know, I'd kind of hung around the podcast when it was you and Jake still, when it was just the 2 of you, know, especially that second year, I think I was hanging around a little bit more. And even though I was someone who was just in the audience or behind the scenes running the soundboard, and, you know, when it used to be up to someone who actually had to hit record on the laptop, like I still showed up on a lot of those Wednesdays, not to be on camera or not to be heard, but it was because for me at the time, there was nothing else in my life where I was hanging out with the guys.
Yeah.
There was no social interaction outside of work or outside of running the soundboard at church at the time. So like the podcast was something for me to drive all the way across town to be able to do, so that way I was hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
Because I knew before the show and after the show, like that's when we would have like some of those conversations where it was just us. We weren't caring about who was listening. We didn't carry, there was no, dozens of people watching that were going to judge us based on whatever we said. It was just,
now we just don't care what they say.
It was just us. And that, that kind of is the whole point that the podcast, I think, was originally started, was people were coming over to your garage and they would bring cigars, they would bring bottles. You guys called it Whiskey Wednesday. It was just you guys hanging out. It was a guy's night. But then you guys realized, maybe there's a value to actually doing this where other people could participate, where other people could be involved, and other people could see what was going on and bring value to them. The people that couldn't be here, it was a value to them.
Yeah, extended, right?
Yeah. And so even though, for the last 4 years, I've been second chair on the show, it's not been about doing the podcast and being on screen. It's about being here in the garage and talking and smoking cigars and having a glass of whiskey. Because I mean, especially during the summertime when the weather's nice, I could sit at my house on the back patio and have cigars and drink whiskey by myself. I could still do that. I just wouldn't get the same benefits from it as coming here and doing the show with you.
Right.
And it would be great if, and I'd probably still find the reason to do it, even if we didn't have the podcast, even if we stopped doing the podcast, like I would still want to get together.
Yeah.
On a night of the week, on a Wednesday night, and hang out and smoke cigars and drink whiskey, because of the opportunity that provides to be with the guys. That's the important thing.
Yeah. I think that's why a lot of people come to like the cigar shop or, go to the local bar or whatever it might be, where you have that social interaction. And that would take it back to, obviously, like full circle back to the Whiskey Wednesdays and no podcast. But it doesn't mean that if we ever stop this podcast every week, it doesn't mean that you have to stop. Like, it goes back to my whole thing. It's like, if you stop, like someone moves away, it doesn't mean you have to stop doing something. You know what I mean? Like, that happens a lot in life where you don't necessarily, as you get older or people have kids or, things take you in different directions. And I think that goes back to my buddy Tony, where it was like, for him, his kids are getting older and more active and all this stuff. And, he's divorced now, and just talking to him, he's still the same guy. He's got a few more bruises on him. You know what I mean? He's got a few more years on him. And it's something where I loved hearing that in his voice, that this was something that was still important to him. Maybe even more so now, that he could be a little bit more himself, who he was before all this happened. When things were smoother, things were, they were younger, they were, like this was readily available. So now it's almost like it takes more effort to do it. Just like what you're talking about, it would take more. No, this doesn't take effort, but it's kind of like, no, but it's like, oh, you don't do the podcast anymore. So Wednesdays are free. Kind of like what I was just talking about, like Wednesdays are free now. So it's like, hey, do you want to get together and smoke and have a, try a bottle on Wednesday? It's like, well, no, Kristen and I are doing this. It's like, that's when people say, oh, life's getting in the way, or life's, life goes on and stuff like that. And it does. But again, I think you got to find that time for the value for yourself, doing that type of stuff. I love hearing that. I mean, you, over the years, on why you were coming around, even when you weren't on camera, and you were on the show sometimes, but not all the time. And that's very, very cool to hear. I appreciate that, man.
And honestly, that's one of the things that ever since I moved out on my own years ago, like that's one of the things that I really haven't had much of is that just hanging out with guys time. Um, most of my male friends live on opposite sides of town of me. Um, so it's
because when you moved next door. I even told you. I even said, "You sure?"
I don't think you'd want me living next door to you.
Not next door to me. I'm just saying this side of town. But now you work up at Polaris. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the time we moved, it was a great opportunity and
I know
a great deal for what we got for the money. Holy shit! I mean,
especially in this fucking economy.
Exactly. But like that's one of the reasons why I look forward to this is, so I mean, I live in Hilliard. You live in Columbus, almost Westerville.
Yeah. It's west side of Northeast.
Yeah. You're still the closest male friend I have geographically.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why like I make this trip every single week to be here is because I don't get this anywhere else.
That's why I bought a Lexus too.
When I left my old shop to work at Tinderbox, like it was the same travel distance mileage wise, but the benefit I got from working there versus my previous location, the benefits far outweighed anything else.
Yeah, I get it.
And I mean, some of my other my dad lives in Blacklick. My next closest friend lives in Lancaster.
East side, Lancaster's way away.
Yeah. Yeah, Lancaster's more than an hour away from me. And I don't even get to see that friend as much as I would like to. And that's a friend of mine who is dealing with a lot of personal shit over the last couple of years. And I wish I could be closer to him to be able to be there for him. Because just based on some of the other things I see and hear, I don't think he has a lot of people even close to him that he can hang out with that are a positive influence.
Yeah, it gets tough. I think it's sometimes why, going back to the topic that we're talking about, being, March and you're talking about getting busier, with the seasons changing and stuff like that. It's to build off of that, along with what I was saying with life gets in the way. And you hear that a lot, right?
I usually hear life finds a way, but
life gets in the way of hanging out and all of this,
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I've got a good friend. You met him, Big Rob. He lives literally 3-4 neighborhoods down, and we don't see each other. Like I've known him since high school, but when we see each other, it's like you pick up where you left off type thing. But life gets busy, so sometimes to your point, and also against your point, is that sometimes the proximity geographically is not as important as what brings you together. What are your hobbies? What's taking up your time? What the thing that you're finding value with? What kills me a lot of the times, and I'm just as guilty as anyone, is when you look at the seasons changing and now we're in spring and you think about where you were last spring and stuff like that. It takes effort to really plan how to spend your time with all of this. It's not just the chores. It's not just the fact that business is getting busier. It's not just the fact that you're outside doing some of the hobbies you used to like doing last year or whatever. You have to plan. You have to really put effort into not just rolling through life, because you do that. And even if you're planning for the distant future, like retirement or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm fortunate that, Kristen likes to plan for the next vacation, because we have a vacation coming up in a month, which is awesome. But that takes planning. Yeah. And we're going with the same friends we went with last year at this time. But if she didn't do that planning, no, she is the type, and I know I should probably listen, or she will listen. fortunate, but I do joke and send her like, the Instagram reels about, we haven't even gone on this vacation and she's already planned like 2 more like type stuff, which again, I appreciate. I'm more of, can we go on this vacation first and then we'll get there? But sometimes my mentality, she text me right now. No, my phone was ringing. No, but it's like, I'm more of, let's get to this one and then let's get to the next one after that. And I like that mentality of it's constantly not just looking for the distant future, but it's like, all right, we have this part planned, we're going to execute this, and then next, like this spring, it's like you were saying earlier in the part 2, where it was just kind of it's January, and then it's like next thing you know, it's next summer, and then it's like you just roll through like the holidays and stuff. Next thing you know, it's this. Next thing you know, it's this. It's being, I guess,
someone to keep you in the moment.
No, it's about being aware of both now and going forward. So you enjoy spring, you enjoy March, you enjoy like what I've got coming up with her and Spencer, who's on the show a lot. We're going down to the DR at the end of April, but now you're also like, okay, don't just stop there. Keep planning for the future, but plan for the near future. Enjoy the time you have right now. Enjoy the fact that things are getting hectic, but stay cognizant of what's going to, as soon as that passes, are you ready for the next step? You know what I mean? It's a constant and ever changing and flowing type of a plan with life. And I think that's a big thing where with the March being crazy, yeah, you're right. Like you're ready for the holidays in December, you're ready for New Year's, and now it's January and then February, and it's like now it's just blah for a lot of people. And I think that you like what I was saying, and you were even saying also with like, for us, the big event was Smoking 10 event, and that's a big thing, and now it's past. So like, what are we doing now? What do you do after that big event?
Well, I think, retail wise, in the cigar community in the Midwest, I think we're fortunate to be able to have something like the Smoking 10 event, because those first couple months of the year, it gives us something to look forward to, something to plan for. Also provides a little bit of a cash flow, people buying tickets and stuff for that.
Sure.
After that event ends, it's like, okay, now we're starting to get into a little bit warmer weather. Now we start seeing more people come out and shopping at their brick and mortar cigar shops, because the weather's nice enough to sit outside, or they're going golfing. They need cigars to go out and golf. So like it's starting to get into that busier season. So the 10 event's kind of something that we look forward almost as a midway point to be able to get us to the next thing.
Yeah. No, I can see that. And I think it goes back to also kind of what we've been talking about too with the 10 event. For those who don't, like, I know most people listening to this, they know us and they know the 10 event's a big thing. Smoking 10 event. 11 years in, and part of the conversation today at the shop between Brian, who's the owner of the shop, and myself, we looked at some of the numbers to see, does it make sense? Does it make sense to put a lot of the man hours into doing that? Well, I see a lot more than he does because I'm more active on social media. So I see the posts and I get texts and messages and how great it is where where he's at and his vantage point. I know a lot of people talk to him at the event itself and after the fact, is no one will ever know exactly what goes into that, but they appreciate from their viewpoint. Most of them, like 99% of people, will like appreciate that. Number wise, has to make sense, right? Again, that's the value there, like of the time spent. Is there value overall? The other aspect of it is like, does it bring value as long as we're not bleeding money doing it, right? That we're not going to be here, you know, like to do something like that. It's just like you, if you're putting your time into something and you're not getting the value from it, you're going to like, it's going to cost you other things in life. If you're constantly doing things that aren't bringing value, or you don't have things, the appropriate like ratio of the people in your life, the responsibilities in life. If you're just doing things that bring you that gratification, that's not the same thing as value. So it's, of the 250 people there, of the companies that were there, does it bring value to everyone else involved? And I think that's where something like the Smoke 10 event, that's where it skyrockets, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Doing that, it brings value to you as a person. It brings value to, say, the business or whatever the investment is, but it also really exponentially brings value because it is bringing community together. It's bringing value to so many people in multiple things. And I think that sometimes will, even if it costs you a little bit financially or whatever in the immediate future, I think that's the investment in the quality of life for you and other people that are around you. I don't know. It's just such an interesting dynamic. And I think it's very relevant to this topic of, you know, as things are getting busier, you know, you really have to navigate through what's worth it, you know, because a lot of times I think your time is not spent wisely. The fact that you can binge Netflix shows, the fact that you can, you know, someone like, it's the same old thing. Like the weather's getting nicer. You have, you know, these other things going on that you can do. And it's the age-old stuff. Well, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do any of this stuff. You know, I don't have time to, like, man, it's like, I got to do laundry. I got to clean the house. I got to mow. Now I got to rake. I got to do like all these things as the years go on and your times. And it's like, cool. You were just telling me how you
binge watched a whole season of a show in 2 days.
You're disappointed because all you could watch was 3 seasons of this show. And I understand that because we went through that with Ted Lasso recently, which is a great show, by the way. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I've watched it all. Oh, absolutely.
I'm with everyone else. I wish there was a season 4 in the works, but I don't think there is.
No, it's gone. It's done. Season 1, episode 8. That's the one to really watch.
Season 1, episode 8. Which one was that?
The darts.
Yeah, that show, man. That yeah. Not ashamed to say it, man. I teared up watching several episodes of that show.
Oh yeah.
God damn. More positivity on fucking TV.
No, I mean, yeah, it was a great show, but what was the reason why it was so great? Like, why was there a connection to it?
Because it was positive.
Yeah. But it wasn't just because it was positive. Like, I think also part of it, I think a reason it struck a chord with a lot of men is here you have a guy who is Mr. Positivity. Like, everything he does, he's bubbly, he's happy, you know, he's the most positive person there is. And yet what's going on in his personal life is an absolute dumpster fire. Like,
you're going through shit, man.
He was going through shit. He was going through separation. He was going through not being with his kid, not being with his wife.
You know why there's so much like of a even more behind the scenes push on that?
Why?
Because he was going through a separation in real life.
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis was.
Yeah. It mirrored reality for him.
Yeah.
But there were people who, related to that because it was a person who was putting on this personification of things are going all right, but deep down things weren't all right. And I think that's something that a lot of people related to was, you can be going through a lot of shit and put on a happy face and people will have no idea what's going on below the surface.
I think it's admirable because this day and age,
it wasn't until he actually started talking about what was going on with life before things truly got better for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like until he started dealing with his own shit, that's when things started to actually take a positive turn.
But I can also appreciate that, to a point, you're right. You have to address things head on. But I do appreciate that, he went into that opportunity, went into the everyday stuff, and he didn't do what a lot of people do, where they bring their personal life into work. And if they're having a bad day, everyone's having a bad day now. I do like that. Tim, I appreciate this comment here. About the Smoking Tent event. I know I've said it before. He's been to cigar events all over Las Vegas, Chicago, Florida, New Orleans. Smoking Tent event is by far the best one I've attended. I love hearing that. That's amazing. Not the biggest, but maybe the best. That's great. And that goes with what I think. What you got there?
Well, Jess had texted me in the show.
Comment. I know that it's only 6 years into the show, but I mean, she can.
In the show, if you remember early on, like his dad had committed suicide, and like his mom had never worked through that, and that's why later on in the show, like when his mom came and visited, I thought that was one of the greatest episodes where there was that moment where he looked at his mother and goes, fuck you.
Wow.
Like, I'm not saying you should all go and tell your mother that.
Dorothy Crane's a saint.
But there was a reason why he said it, because his dad was kind of his idol, and his mother never dealt with the death of her husband that way, and like he felt like he had to be the man of the house, and he never got a chance to actually grow up as a child.
Yeah.
And there was that dynamic between the two of them where neither one of them let themselves grieve over the situation.
You got to process, right?
Yeah.
This conversation's been good. It's kind of all over the place a little bit. I think Charlie Creekmore, quality of life's list of things to do today. Just say no to Netflix. Streaming is redeeming. He's kind of all over the place with that too. But I think it's funny because I enjoy, like, we have all of the streaming services and stuff like that. I enjoy that. I'm finally going back and watching The Sopranos. I've never watched it. And now I'm season 3. It's good. It's fun also going back to some of those where it's like the iPhone didn't exist. You know what I mean? Like the cars and stuff like that. It's just great. That life was different back then. But it's about the balance. I think sometimes, when you brought up this topic, Nate, where life's getting busier now because of the season and all that stuff. Sometimes you have to like move away completely from something that's taking up your time. But there is a little bit of a balance, or you can even take seasons of your life, a little bit of like, okay, now that it's spring, I don't watch Netflix as much, or I don't stream as many shows. I don't have the time to do that. And it's okay to miss some of that stuff that you did during like the winter. But when it comes to spring and you're more active, you only have a certain amount of hours in the day. So it's like, okay, so this isn't the time of the year that I got to squeeze in, exercise and new hobbies or running the kids around. It's okay to miss like watching your shows or watching that. We're fortunate now enough you can go back and like, it's not that long ago where it was like you had to watch the show that was on Thursday night or Friday. TGIF is on Friday nights. And if you missed it, now you've got a whole slew of like VCR, tapes, VHS tapes there. And you're gonna squeeze it in like on Saturday morning or whatever. Now it's like, all right, no, I can control this for the most part because I'm busy the next couple months. I've got something waiting for me. I can binge watch a whole season of a show when I have a free moment.
Well, I mean, I have the opportunity at my house where during the warmer months, if I want to watch TV shows and sit outside and have a cigar, I can do that. I can watch them on my tablet. I can sit there and I can watch movies on Netflix, or I can watch TV shows on Hulu, and I can do all that stuff from my tablet. But there are still times where I want to sit outside and have a cigar just to sit outside and have a cigar. Like, I don't want the other distractions. Because if I'm sitting outside having a cigar and a drink, but I'm watching a show or a movie, my mind is being occupied with something. Whereas if I'm just sitting outside with just the cigar and whiskey, my mind's a little freer. It's not being tied up in watching something. There's no emotional investment and interest in whatever I'm watching. Huh?
You listen to music?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But sometimes I just sit out there just to sit out there. Sometimes there's a joy in the silence. It is, and there have been times where I've told myself, like, I'm not going to take my tablet out. I'm just going to go sit outside, because sitting outside with just the cigar and the whiskey is more relaxing because there's nothing else going on. I'm not thinking about anything or watching anything. It's just a getaway. And I'm about to burst.
Perfect. Hey guys, just you and me now. I haven't had that quiet time in a long time where it's just, and not in a good, like, not in a bad way. Like, and you are about to burst. Damn. I broke my garage door. It's interesting that Nate says that. I know he can still hear me because he's using the outhouse right now, but I don't have that. I don't, I feel like doing something. Even when I sit down and smoke a cigar on my back patio, I always have that something's going on. I'm either texting or I'm messaging or I'm on social media or I'm watching something or whatever it is. It is interesting these days. I admire Nate that he can just focus on that moment, because I'm of the opinion that this day and age, we've always got stimulation coming from something. And I'm not ashamed to say that I do enjoy that. And sometimes in those quiet moments, that's when I'll message or I'll text or I'll post something just to reach out to the community, to talk to my girlfriend, or sometimes I'll call mom. It's a lot of times it's funny, with I don't like to let a lot of time go where I don't talk to my mom about just in general, just check in. I admire, Nate's back here now. I admire the fact that you can sit down and do that. A lot of times I can't do that because I am used to the seasons changing and time flying by and all that stuff. And it's interesting that you say that, Nate, because you can just be with yourself. I think a lot of people that like read a lot, they're good at that. That is doing something, I understand, but it's like they can just read. They can be with them and the book and their thoughts and everything else. And
well, I think sometimes
I'm not that kind of person.
I think sometimes for readers, if they're reading something, especially if they have a creative or imaginative mindset, when they're reading something, like their brain is engaging and actually picturing what it is they're reading.
Sure.
And they're trying to visualize that. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why I used to struggle with being able to get through a book. Is I would sit there and as I'm reading, like I'm trying to picture what I'm reading, because I comprehend visually a lot better than if I'm just reading text. But then what would end up happening is my mind just takes what I'm seeing and just starts going in its own little journey. And I start to forget what it is I'm looking at and reading. So I'm like, shit, what did I just read the last 2 pages? I need to go back and start rereading that so I don't miss anything.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I've also been a bigger fan of nonfiction than fiction. Is there's a little bit less of that imagination in play. And one of the last books that I read cover to cover, it was called Debt, the First 5,000 Years. And it was written by an economic anthropologist who traces how different societies interact around this concept of debt, going back to 3500 BC Mesopotamia.
Okay.
Yeah, not everyone's cup of tea, but it was definitely something that was worthwhile. But I remember
that debt would accumulate since then, man. That'd be a lot of interest.
But it was, but it was this social like how society interacts with that concept. And like one of the things that stuck out the most to me was actually right at the beginning of the book, where the author talks about how it affected him personally. Like on his 18th birthday, his dad handed him a bill, and it was the cost.
You told me about this. Yeah.
It was the cost of raising his son from the time he was born, including.
I don't like this at all. That's a dick move.
I agree, and so did he. But like his dad handed him a bill, the cost of raising him from the day he was born to the day he turned 18. That was his gift to his son, and his son was like, "Really? This is how you perceive our relationship? It is a financial transaction."
He could have actually just, handed him the receipt from buying a condom. Go on. That would have been like a power move. Like, oh yeah, yeah. I'm glad I'm here, but like, this was cheaper. Your choice.
But like as he went on to his career, he paid his father what his father felt he owed him.
You talked about this before. And then, I still don't like this.
And then never talked to his dad again. Because that's what his dad viewed the relationship as.
There's a lot
transaction.
There's a lot to unpack there, and that is not a healthy relationship between two men.
It was like a 600-page book, and I loved it. I used to go through and highlight, underline, and it's a great read.
We need to get Nate more books.
Oh, I've got a whole fucking library of books.
That's sick, man. That's not.
Well, that's how the author felt about it too.
Well, yeah.
He didn't like it either. He just went with the punches that were thrown. I mean, the cards that were dealt by his father. Like, really, that's how you view our relationship. If you view our relationship as a financial transaction, fine, I'll pay it.
Here.
But then that's it. Like, he didn't set out to have that kind of relationship with his father on his own. That was the terms dealt to him by that other party.
Jesus Christ.
Like, he just went with what was dealt to him.
Wait, Mike says, was that a fictional book or nonfiction?
It was nonfiction. It was nonfiction. Like I said, the guy's an economic anthropologist, so he goes through different societies, different cultures around the world, starting at 3500 BC Mesopotamia.
I don't think he's
going all the way through.
I don't think he's qualified at this point based on that upbringing, and with what he never talks to his father again because of that.
But he's looking at it
objectively.
He's not looking at it how.
No, that's subjectively. Absolutely. That is personal.
Well,
that is personal.
Maybe that part of it, but not the other 550 pages of the book.
Good God, man.
It was a 600-page book. And yeah, I love that read.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I would say, if anything, if he's writing 600 pages about his daddy issues,
I
think that is
part of the introduction.
No, that is why he wrote that book. Those are daddy issues. He doesn't speak to his dad because his dad was maybe trying to give him some sort of financial advice that it's like your life decisions do this, and his whole thing is now a career. Anthropologists are different people. I took some anthropology classes, but I'm just saying, like, if that's like, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm not like trying to make like fun of that. I'm just that dude's got daddy issues. He does.
Mike, he paid it back before he ever wrote the book.
Jesus. Let's do a more fun one here. I remember you brought that up. I remember that. I had forgotten about it, but I remember you bringing that up, and it's like that guy needs a hug.
Yeah.
From an older gentleman that represents a dad. Let's see, I like this. Sean, of all people, by the way, trying to lighten things up a little bit.
There's a turn.
And since we are doing madness, how about this one? Would you rather, and he says, you have to choose Nate Hale. Where is Andemic when you need her? Would you rather lose all your memories or not be able to make new ones? Damn.
Lose all my memories.
You would rather lose all your memories?
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's between the, because
you have to pick one.
If I'm able to lose
everything from here to the past, yeah.
If I'm able to lose all my previous memories and make new ones,
yeah,
I'll take that versus.
Or you only can remember now, in the past, and you can't remember anything going forward, or you can't make any new ones.
I'd rather make new memories going forward.
It's a tough one, Sean.
Not for me. I was bullied a lot as a kid, all the way.
But you have the whole Jess and Nate story.
Guess what? I'm still married to Jess, so now I got years to make more memories. Yes, I would lose out on the first 15 years.
What about all those? What about all those movies where you wake up and you have amnesia and you don't even know who Jess is? And now you have to do the whole thing like the rom-com.
Wait.
I'm just saying, like, you don't have.
We're not talking like 51st dates where you lose your memories every morning, are you?
No, I'm saying you wake up and you don't know who Jess is because you have no memories. You just erased them all.
Okay.
That's like they made these rom-coms, you know what I mean? Like it's.
I know we're talking almost like 51st dates.
No, because she keeps forgetting.
Yeah.
She only remembers she only remembers the past. She's not able to make new ones.
I stick with what I said.
Okay. Oh.
Because Jess would only have to sit there and remind me of who she is once. And then
But you don't know who she is. You don't recognize her.
Not that first morning.
But would you trust her? Would it still be? I'm not going to focus on you and Jess. I'm not going to say that. No. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. I actually, as much as I'm looking forward to new memories, I'm in a great place in my life where, Sean, I would say where I'm at today, I would hate to not be able to make new memories. Talking about like seasons changing and all that stuff going forward in life. You know what I mean? With the March, you want this, you want that, you want this. Yeah. I'm in a good place right now. So I would, if I had to choose, as he says, you have to choose. I would say I would rather not be able to make new ones, as hard as that is. But right now, I'm in a great place in my life. So you ask me at different points in my life, I would choose differently. But right now, I'd choose. I want my memories and be 51st dates. So I would like to be Drew Barrymore in 51st dates as of right now because life is good. And if I had to wake up and all that stuff, I would be 43 in this current situation and wake up, be surprised and all that stuff. Hopefully Kristen would live through that with me so that at least I would recognize her. But I might think that, like, where are we? Because we, like, maybe moved in a new house or, like, if we're on vacation and I wake up and I hadn't made any new memories, but I wake up and we're at, like, an all-inclusive, that'd be, like, a good surprise. You know, I'd be scared at first, thinking I'm waking up, you know, all that stuff. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to say what Tim Dodge said. Mike Dieter says, sounds like a sequel to 51st Dates. I agree. They should make that.
Well, and then like Sean, as a follow-up, talked about like, well, you'd lose all the memory of, all the cigars and all the whiskey you drank. Okay. That means I get to smoke particular cigars for the first time. I get to drink certain bottles of whiskey for the first time.
You don't even know you like cigars.
I get to. I'm sure Jess would sit there and be like, "Hey, here's your humidor. You're a cigar smoker."
Put a lot of trust
cool.
in Jess, who you never met before.
I don't think Jess is the kind of person who would sit there and go, "Oh, he's got a fresh memory. Let me make it, like he's never drank whiskey or smoked cigars ever again." I think she would still sit there and go, "All right, here's your humidor. Here's what you have. Here's your liquor cabinet. And here's what you have." I'm like, "All right, cool. I get to try these for the first time." I also think about, like, I still have my movie collection. Certain movies to be able to watch for the first time, like that would still be amazing. Certain movies to be able to watch them the first time again.
Yeah,
there's
no right answer to this, because I don't know if Jess has texted you, but
she hasn't yet.
Kristen texted me, and it's like
but like if I woke up that first morning and I didn't know who Jess was, and she's like, "All right, I'm your wife. You and I have been married for almost 15 years." Mm-hmm. Or we've been together for 15 years. We've been married since 2010. Like, okay, you and I have been together this long. Cool.
All right, so I was
there's
thinking
a reason for that. Now. So I'm gonna play and see how it goes. Like, obviously, there's a reason why I stuck with you for this many years. All right.
Wait, you stuck with her, or she stuck with you?
Well, either or.
Trying to help you out here. So I was thinking 51st Dates, and right now, not to retract. You're right. If they can convince you and you can keep making new memories, you're absolutely right. I would probably go with that. Because, jeez. Fuck you, Sean. You're setting us both up for this. Been a great night, guys. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. No. Good thing I won't remember this tomorrow. Oh, Lord. It's turned into a good episode here.
Don't you love it when our community members get us in trouble?
No, I don't. We should go back to Whiskey Wednesday with none of these guys watching.
You guys need to do better.
I like the night that Sean Anderson, of all people, they put, he puts out some like more positive, like more fun stuff instead of his. And no offense, I enjoy your stories and everything else, but it's like he puts that out there, and now we're like on the hot seat if our ladies are watching. It's like there's no right answer to that. You know what I mean? I thought I was answering it right, and then I get messages, and I'm waiting Jess to comment. Yeah. Good thing is as of right now, we don't have to choose either of those things, and we are continuing to. You go into your text messages. I love that.
We have too much whiskey and cigars in the house for him not to imbibe in them.
He could wake up and be like, "You need to stop these habits. These are bad for you." Whose are these? No, that's a fun one. We should do an episode here going forward where we do the Q&A, and it's stuff like that.
Yeah
that's fun. No, all joking aside, I think this was a good conversation. I mean, do you have more you want to talk about with the whole March's Madness thing?
I had to go to court on Monday.
Okay.
Again, that was part of the craziness that was my week over the last week.
Sure.
I was sick for several days, then had the 10 event, had to work at the shop the day after the 10 event, and then Monday had to be at court because I was subpoenaed as a witness. The person never showed up, so now they have a bench warrant out for their arrest. Yay!
All because they were stealing liquor.
Yeah. And apparently that person, like, going up to that, I mean, they were already facing like 15 to 20 charges. So it was just more of a, like testifying as a witness if that person had actually shown up, but
Sure.
But they didn't. Shocker there.
If you
But
ignored it, it never happened, right?
do what?
If you ignored it, it never happened. This is what she's thinking. Not you.
Well, all it takes is one time for her to drive and cop pull up behind her, run her plate, and go, "Oh, this person has a warrant."
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll catch her, and I'm sure we'll end up getting called to court another day, and the four of us will have to take another day off work in order to be able to. Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where it actually helped the reputation of the store, like because before that there were some people that had bragged about stealing on Facebook,
Nice.
and then that shit happened, and we caught that person. Charges were filed against that person, and then this is going to sound bad. It was shortly after that event where a young lady unfortunately lost her life at a liquor store up the street here because she was robbing liquor bottles and then tried to run over a police officer with her car. And she unfortunately lost her life in that.
Yeah.
Since that, we have not had an issue. And I think word got out like, oh, maybe let's not try and rob liquor stores.
Don't laugh after that, but yes. It's yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. I mean, it really is.
Consequences to your actions.
Which we hope we can get back to a little bit more going forward in this country because we've steered clear of that. So Charlie says, do we march the madness or does the march make us mad? That's why I think we should probably bring back to the topic and kind of round this out.
Yeah.
Exactly that. I'll put it up on the screen. I know he's working off of the title there. Do you march the madness or does the march or does March or the season's changing make us mad?
I think a lot of us march to the madness. I think there's a lot of us that just kind of go with the flow, take the punches as they come, and deal with it after that. I think if you sit there and you try and control too many of the little things, the big things get past you. You don't necessarily recognize them when they happen, because you just get so hyper focused on the little things that you forget to enjoy just the day to day and the things that you have. But I also think sometimes we go through life and we just go through it. We just deal with the day to day. Like, all right, today I get up, I go to work, I come home, and your significant other's like, hey, how'd work go today? Fine. Well, anything happen? Any cool customers come in? Like, no, it was just a day. And for us, sometimes we'll sit there and go, today was just another day. It was another day at work, just another day in life. Nothing remarkable happened. And some people can't necessarily grasp that. They sit there and they think there has to be something important about every day. It's like, no, sometimes days are just days. Sometimes a Monday is just a Monday. Sometimes a Tuesday is just a Tuesday. Not every day has to have something worthwhile and memorable in it. Sometimes you just go through the days. But it's important to recognize when those significant instances or those special events do come up, because that's what becomes the abnormal. You can sit there and go week after week after week just doing your job, but then something happened that kind of brightens your day one day, and that becomes the thing you talk about for a while afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be something significant. It doesn't even have to be something huge. It's just different, and it's different enough that it stands out in your mind. And I think sometimes people get so focused on waiting for something spectacular to happen that they forget about the day-to-day. And then sometimes we just get so focused on the day-to-day that we don't even recognize when something spectacular does happen to us.
Is that your mic drop?
Well, you were pointing at me. I didn't know what part I said that made you sit there and go, yeah, that's good.
No, what you were saying, I like that. I'll kind of take it a step further and I like what you were saying about that. Sometimes you're waiting for the spectacular. You took it a direction which I think is valid, where it's you don't necessarily you can't recognize the spectacular because you're just living day to day. Take a different angle where you can actually, do we march to the madness, or does the march make us mad? I'm on the same train as you, Nate, about all that stuff, but I will take it slightly different tweak on it, right? I think it's, you come home. I mean, you don't want to be that teenager that comes home and how was school? That was all right. Anything happened now. I'm all about communication. I think you should talk about it. You talk about the negative, you talk the positive, you look at those things and you try to find the highlight in your day. I think there's some validity there that you try to find the highlight of your day, because if you can't, was that, like, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is like, was there value in your day other than getting paid to go to your job? You know what I mean? If you're so nose into the mundane, is that the existence that you want? Is there value? Is it worth it? If all you're doing is saving for retirement so then you can enjoy life, that's that age-old story, right? Where it's that person that you knew that was saving up, that worked until they were fucking like 65 or whatever it is, and they died at 67. It's like, hopefully there's some appreciation for raising a family, or enjoying a house. If all you're doing is like living in the mundane of like, no, there wasn't. And what you said is that you might even, what I heard at least, was that you can't even appreciate it anymore when something, it doesn't have to be spectacular. That's always fun to talk about, right?
It is. Yeah.
It's always fun to talk about.
But I get a lot.
No, wait. I appreciate you, Nate, when you get excited about a day that you work at Tinderbox or at Carfagnas or whatever it might be, and you are excited about a sale. You're excited about, like, oh my God, like this person came in and all that stuff. And I'm listening to it, I'm like, that's great, man. That's a good day at work. And I look at that as sometimes as something that is not that exciting, but I appreciate your excitement for it. But it's like, sometimes the steadiness is like, no, it was a good day. Like we weren't that busy, but I had a good conversation with someone, right? Like you were speaking earlier about, like, your Wednesdays was something that it's not spectacular coming over to the garage and smoking cigars and all that stuff, but it's like, that's value. That's something, having conversations with people that are important. You're seeing the other of like the bad parts of it. Sometimes you don't want to be a burden on your people that are important. You want to be that rock. You want to be that stuff. But sometimes a rock is fucking boring. You don't always want to be negative. You don't always want to talk about the things that are coming up, like, with Charlie saying that, March the Madness, or does March make us mad? I think just everyday life, sometimes it's like, do you let it beat you down, or do you let it just be boring? Do you look for the spectacular? Do you look for the next best thing or the next great thing? Or do you look at it as like, No, it wasn't. It was to you. It's another day. There's nothing really exciting about it. But I think that sometimes if we all look at and you, Nate, and myself and everyone else listening right now, or after the fact, there's going to be a boring day. There's going to be some day where you're just like, I'm searching for something that is either positive or negative, like literally here or here. And everything is just literally like kind of like right there. And you're like, no, it was Wednesday. Nothing. That's okay sometimes for me. But if no, it was Wednesday. No, it's Thursday. No, it was March. No, it's like, if that's your existence, we've got a problem. You got to have some highs and lows. You got to have some peaks and valleys. You got to, life's the roller coaster. Everyone always, I think, really, really reacts and evolves and grows to the great highs and the great lows. But sometimes you can really grow from the okays and the not okays. Because if you're looking for the great highs and the great lows, and that's all that stimulates you, sometimes I'm not talking just to you. I'm just looking at you while I'm talking. If that's all you're looking for, life is going to be a disappointment.
No, you're not wrong.
One of those things is like, if I'm going to live in this, and listen on the audio, my hands are very close. If this is my life and that's all, I'm just rolling through it, it's not a bad life. But if all you're doing is waiting for 30, 40 years from now so that I can finally do what I want to do. I'm retired. I'm like, we can live our life. And it's like, what's left of it that you don't know how long that is. Like, there's a great balance of, I feel like, communicating first with yourself, then with if you have a significant other, if you have people around you, it's enjoying the life that you have, because we don't know how long it is. And that's where it's like, I think that marching to the madness, that's when you get to this. You get to the real close hands. You get to that point where it's like, yeah, life's okay. Just rolling with it. Hey, how you doing today? I complain, but no one will listen. You hear that a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you hear that from people, and it's like, all right, lay it on me, man. If you want, like, you want to, or you just saying that, you're just living. Like, is your life that boring? It's not. If you could communicate how your day went yesterday, I bet you I could find something that was either really great or real shitty.
Well, I think also it depends on the way that person is approaching that question. When you ask that question, like, "Hey, how's your day going?" Like, sometimes it's like when you're checking out at the grocery store. Someone's like, "Oh, hi, how are you today?" Fine. Are you really fine? Like, no, you've probably got some shit going on. This person,
I'm not saying you have to lay it on everyone you talk to.
Exactly.
Not saying that.
No, and I agree. Not everyone needs to be, burdened with what's going on.
You Ted Lasso and just be, try to stimulate the conversation.
But I think you have to pick the right times about when do you actually go into the details? When do you actually share what's going on? I think you have to. I think you have to have certain people in your life that, when they ask you the question, like, "Hey, how's things going?" and you go, "Things are going fine," they come back and they go, "No, how are you doing?"
No,
I really want to know. Like,
yeah.
I'm not asking just to make small talk and be friendly. No, I really want to fucking know.
No, I know, but
how are you doing?
You brought it up when you go home, and how was your day at work? That's the person, hopefully, that you want to be able to, you don't have to dive into every negative little thing that happened, but if all you're giving is a fine.
Well, and I have. There have absolutely been times where, like, say I come home on a Sunday, work at Tinderbox, open and close. I come home and Jess is like, "Hey, how was the shop today?" Nah, shop was fine. Like there are literally days where the shop was just fine.
I agree with that.
We
That's
had
fine.
people
That's
come
fair.
in, they bought cigars, they left. If there was someone that came in and they bought, $400 worth of cigars, they bought
Whatever it
2,
might be,
3,
yeah.
4 boxes worth of cigars. I'm absolutely gonna sit there and go, dude, I had this customer come in and like they weren't sure about what they were gonna get and ended up buying, 100 Davidoffs. Like you and Josh had that one Saturday.
Mhm.
Like you and Josh had that one customer the first hour of the day, and I was still working at the tinderbox on Saturdays. As soon as I walk in there, Josh is like, dude, we had this customer first hour of the day.
Those are the great highs. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the stuff you want to hear. That's the stuff that like you're excited to share with other people.
Sure.
No one cares about the person that came in and bought a cigar for $9.95. No one really cares about that. But when you get excited, like, no, I had this customer come in and they weren't sure what they wanted, and they ended up buying a box of cigars, and they bought a humidor, they bought a cutter and a lighter. Like those are the stuff that you want to hear, because like you can hear the excitement in that other person's voice.
I understand what you want to hear, but sometimes you want to express what that normal day was.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of times where, especially in retail, and and I work just like you, Steve. I work retail every day. Sometimes the day is just normal customers coming in and you help them out. Like, hey, how can I help you today? Oh, I'm looking for this. And they buy, a $13 cigar, or they buy a $20 bottle of wine. Like that's a normal customer. It's when you get that customer that goes above that, like a customer who doesn't know what they want and ends up, buying something spectacular, or they give you a really good compliment that just makes your day.
I understand what you're saying.
Like sometimes when you get that feedback from a customer where they're appreciative about you helping them, like sometimes just that is the highlight of your day. And it doesn't even have to be a big sale. It doesn't even have to be the biggest sale of the day. It's just someone who appreciated the effort that you put into it, whether it be selling cigars or selling wine or selling liquor, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just that interaction where a customer came in, didn't know exactly what they were looking for, but you helped them to the best of your ability, and it made them happy, and they were grateful for it, and they expressed that gratefulness. Sometimes that's all you need to get you through the rest of the day.
And I agree with you completely. I think it's about celebrating the wins, celebrating the losses, you know what I mean? Like learning from the losses, celebrating the wins. It's truly every day there's something that happened. Even the most boring days. Don't be that teenager when the parent asks, how was school? Fine. Give yourself something more than that. And when someone takes the effort, like I'm not saying you're right, stranger, like, hey, how you doing today? And you're like, well, my dog died, and my spouse left me, and like you've the whole country song, I'm not saying that. They also don't like, oh yeah, I got a promotion and I just, made $1 million and all that stuff. Like they don't really need to know all that stuff. Not know your audience. I agree, but know your audience when you look in the mirror, first and foremost, is that I think that you can celebrate the wins and learn from the losses, and give yourself some more credit that you just put in another 24 hours. Because you did.
I like that.
We'll end on that then. Guys, thank you so much. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday. Cheers, y'all.